And a very good evening to you. Welcome to King Power Stadium here, the home of Leicester City, for a big night for the Foxes, the start of a new beginning. Ruud van Nistelrooy taking charge of Leicester City, his first game in charge, and it is against West Ham United. So Leicester 16th in the Premier League table, 1 point above the relegation zone at the start of the night, against the Hammers team, who are 5 points ahead of them. I'm Chris Wise. Paul Robinson is alongside me, the former England international goalkeeper. This is going to be intriguing, Paul Robinson, and actually for both managers. Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game in charge. Feels like there's a bit of pressure on Julian Lopetegui already as well.
I think there's a lot of subplots surrounding this game. I think the pressure surrounding Lopetegui, it's not something new. I think he's had that for a few weeks now. I think the win away at Newcastle somewhat eased that pressure a little bit on him. I think the results prior to the Newcastle game put him under pressure. You look at the Newcastle game and then at home to Arsenal, and then you look at the run of fixtures they've got now. This is the time for Lopetegui to start picking up points, to start climbing West Ham up the table, and he'll be judged on the next 5 or 6 games, because you look at the fixtures: Wolves, Bournemouth, Brighton, Southampton. They're games you would expect them not to win but to pick points up from, and to pick more points up than they have started the season. And Leicester, they're the story of the night, aren't they, with Ruud van Nistelrooy taking over for his first game in charge. Obviously watched from the stands at the weekend against Brentford. I don't suspect he was very pleased with what he saw. Made a couple of defensive changes tonight, because defensively they've been very poor. You look at his record at PSV, he is actually quite a pragmatic coach, builds his team's success on defensive stability. So we'll all be watching Leicester tonight, but the pressure on Lopetegui won't go away.
Well, you might be able to hear that the two teams have arrived from the tunnel way down beneath us here at King Power Stadium. The bugler's been on the pitch. I can see Leicester City's Fox mascot out there as well, but crucially 22 players tonight trying to have an impact. And there is Ruud van Nistelrooy. We see him on our screens for the first time in an embrace with Julian Lopetegui, the former Manchester United striker, in his black pea coat with his navy gilet on underneath. And he will know that lots of the eyes of the world, not just round these parts, will be on him tonight, in the hope that he can get off to a winning start. Well,
we spoke over on Radio 5 earlier with Chappers, and we did the pre-match discussion, and we said about Ruud van Nistelrooy, I know they spoke a lot about him on the Monday Night Club last night, and you question, would he have been a realistic option for Leicester City had he not have taken that opportunity at Manchester United to go in as coach? He had 1 full season as a manager at PSV. Well, say 1 full season. He left before the last game of the season, won a domestic trophy, but actually he was available in the summer. Why didn't Leicester City look at him in the summer if they saw him as a long-term progression? Listen, he's got a fantastic opportunity on the back of a coaching chance that he got at Manchester United. And 2 of the last 4 games that Leicester have lost, he was the manager, so he'll certainly know the club firsthand.
Yeah, 1-3, drew 1 of his 4 games as Manchester United's interim coach, but this is his for good here at Leicester City, and Julian Lopetegui is on the bench tonight, and he'll be pleased to be back down there as well, close to the action, the West Ham head coach, because he was up in the stands for their defeat against Arsenal at the weekend, because he was serving a 1-match touchline ban. Let me run through the 2 team newses for you then. For Leicester City, for Ruud van Nistelrooy, his first team selection shows 4 changes from their 4-1 defeat against Brentford at the weekend. There was a lot to pick out of that performance, and plenty of negatives from a Leicester perspective, particularly in their defence, and that's perhaps why Wout Vass and Caleb Akoli have dropped out of the side. So have Luke Thomas and Jordan Ayew. So in come Yannick Vestergaard, Victor Christiansen, Bilal Al-Khanous and Casey McAteer. So it's Hermansen in goal, Justin, Vestergaard, Cody and Christiansen, and then Ndidi and Samare, El-Khanous, Buonanotte, who scored that 1 goal for Leicester at the weekend, and McAteer, and Jamie Vardy leading the line, Leicester's captain. West Ham have made 5 changes this evening. Mavropanos is back from illness. Sofal starts his first Premier League game for 12 games. Alvarez is into midfield. Mohamed Kudus, who's been absent for the past 5, suspended. He comes straight into West Ham's 11. And Danny Ings makes his first Premier League start of the campaign. Emerson, Todibo, Paquetá, Somerville, Antonio drop out. So Fabianski in goal, Sofal, Kilman, Mavropanos and Wan-Bissaka. And then it's Alvarez and Souček, Bowen, Soler, Kudus and Danny Ings up front, and it is West Ham who are going to get us underway in their familiar claret and blue, and Leicester City in their home strip of all blue, going from right to left, and the ball immediately goes back to the West Ham goalkeeper, Łukasz Fabianski. Leicester against West Ham United. We are off and underway here on 5 Live Sports Extra as Fabianski for the first time sends a long ball into Leicester's half. Paul Robinson.
Interesting listening to Ruud van Nistelrooy yesterday coming into the club, and he referenced Enzo Maresca, said that he'd spoken to him before he joined the club, but then he quite openly spoke about the way that he wanted to play and the way that Enzo Maresca had success with this similar squad of players, and that they would revert to something, if not like, but very, very similar. So his team selection tonight has made bold decisions with the defenders, leading out Akoli and Wout Faes, which defending has been Leicester's Achilles heel this season.
Off they try and go for the first time, a long ball forward which is overhit quite considerably away from Jamie Vardy and into the hands of Łukasz Fabianski, the West Ham United goalkeeper. So as it was at the start of play tonight, West Ham in 14th, 15 points from their 13 games so far. Leicester 16th with 10 points from 13, but with that game between Ipswich and Crystal Palace taking place tonight as well, at least one of those teams has the potential to go over the Foxes tonight if they do not win here. Good work by Al Khanous, closing down so far the West Ham right back. Leicester throw midway inside West Ham's half on the left.
And that's what we've been looking for tonight. Ruud van Nistelrooy, Al Khanous on the right hand side, McAteer on the left hand side. They'll create opportunities to press, win the ball higher up the pitch. But the thing from West Ham, it's interesting to see what he's done tonight, Lopetegui. Actually, Koufal's playing right back and Wan-Bissaka's moved over to left back.
Slip through, looking for Vardy, who moves into West Ham's penalty area. Vardy scores, but the flag is up for offside. And the celebrations, and this place was about to go wild for that goal. A cut short. Offside against Jamie Vardy.
Would have been the perfect start, wouldn't it? Seen Jamie Vardy do that so often throughout his career. Just sits on the shoulder of Mavropanos. He's looking along the line. Ball slipped in behind. Seen it on the monitor. He has just strayed offside. It's not going to take VAR long to check that. His right shoulder, his right half of his body just offside. But that's a warning for West Ham, because that's the threat that Jamie Vardy poses. Casey McAteer cuts inside, sees the run of his captain, lays it perfectly into his path. Just offside.
There was a brief air punch from Ruud van Nistelrooy, the new Leicester manager, but he quickly realised the VAR check is taking place right now, so we'll just wait and see and get confirmation of the outcome of that. But Jamie Vardy, he was the man, of course, who beat Ruud van Nistelrooy's Premier League record, those 11 goals in consecutive games almost 9 years ago to the day. That offside check is still going on, Paul.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? We're quite familiar with the longer the VAR check goes, the less clear and obvious that it is. The referee he's in the middle of the pitch, surrounded by a group of players, not so sure what impact they're going to have, but we're getting to see it now. It's Mavropanos' right leg that they're just checking to see if it's played Jamie Vardy onside. My initial thought immediately was offside. I think everybody around us said offside, and as soon as Jamie Vardy put the ball in the net, the assistant referee's flag went up immediately. We haven't got the lines on the pitch yet, but they are still checking this one very carefully.
So Mavropanos' right leg is behind him, it's backwards, and Vardy is leading forward. And I think because Mavropanos' leg is so far back, this might be given.
This is a goal. It looked to the naked eye, it's offside, but it's not. This is going to be given. It looks like the VAR checker just running it through now, but you're going to hear a big roar in this stadium in a minute, because I think this goal's about to be given.
Ruud van Nistelrooy doesn't know yet, neither does Jamie Vardy, neither does the King Power. But as soon as we get this cleared up,
it's tight.
We are seeing
still
on our
looking.
Screen.
They're still looking.
There it is, goal given. Jamie Vardy for Leicester City, and for Ruud van Nistelrooy, and for one great striker, a great gift for another, because Van Nistelrooy's era is off to the perfect start. Jamie Vardy, 1-0 Leicester inside the first few minutes.
Brilliant start for Jamie Vardy, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Leicester. It was such a simple passing move, instigated in the middle of the park. Ball comes inside, it's El Khanous who finds Jamie Vardy, and he does an initial glance, he looks like he's offside, but he's that experienced, he's that clever, Jamie Vardy. He holds his run, he just looks at Mavropanos, he's looking at the defender in front of him, so you would have been surprised if he'd strayed offside. Initially you think offside, but he's not. He's clever, he's sharp, he's wily, he gets himself through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, just opens his right foot up, slots it across Łukasz Fabianski to give Ruud van Nistelrooy the perfect start.
Where he is quietly applauding. That was quite an understated celebration from Ruud van Nistelrooy on the touchline. I imagine, Paul, had that gone in real time and been given, his celebrations might have been a little looser.
Well, that's the beauty of the VAR world that we live in, unfortunately. At the moment we have to check these goals, but like I said, I think everybody, or lots of people inside the stadium, myself included, at first glance thought, yeah, got that right, it's offside. It wasn't until you saw the replays and you looked how tight it was, and then the game was delayed for a bit longer. Timed his run perfectly, Jamie Vardy.
So Jamie Vardy, 5th Premier League goal of the season. Leicester 1, West Ham United 0. What is the response going to be from West Ham, having been beaten so convincingly at the weekend against Arsenal? Here is Wan-Bissaka deep inside Leicester's half, far left-hand side, and they work it back almost to the halfway line now with Mavropanos.
Yeah, test of West Ham's character now, especially after suffering a heavy defeat at the weekend. We saw the record amount of goals that they shipped, well, not that they shipped, but there was in the first half against Arsenal, but conceding 5 in the game and going down so early here.
Mavropanos working his way forward into Leicester's half, tries to push it out to Sofal on the right hand side. El Khanous with the sliding challenge. That's the second time the young Moroccan has made his impact felt physically in these first few minutes, and there he is again, in with the bite on the challenge. Soler picks it up for West Ham. Here's Bowen just outside Leicester's penalty area, and then Souček's effort way over the top of the bar. Bowen thought he should have had a free kick in the build up to that. It is a Leicester goal kick. They're 1-0 up against West Ham.
He's in discussions with the referee, Jarrod Bowen. Gets an opportunity, 25-30 yards out from goal, runs at the heart of the defence. He feels he's fouled. The referee looked like he may have played a little bit of an advantage. Fell to Souček, whose shot wasn't very pretty. It was indeed, I think, just coming to the back. Jarrod Bowen gets up immediately, asks the referee for a free kick, but as he's doing that, his teammate Thomas Souček is blazing it over the bar.
Julian Lopetegui down on the edge of his technical area, hands in pocket, big coat on, shaking his head at the moment. 7 minutes in, Leicester 1, West Ham United 0. Jamie Vardy with the Leicester City goal as Christensen brings it forward with his blonde hair behind him, bouncing away, plays a 1-2 with El Khanous on the halfway line, then he slides it in for Vardy, who's in again, and Fabianski gets just about enough on it to turn it behind for a corner. Jamie Vardy is feeling full of life tonight.
Well, I'm going to stop trying to call these offside decisions, because again it was a fantastic ball through. A 1-2 on this near side. Christensen finds himself in acres of space, and Jamie Vardy again, he's looking at Mavropanos' back, keeps himself onside. First touch takes him on the angle, manages to get it past Fabianski, who gets the slightest of touches on it, just wide for a Leicester City corner.
It's a good stop by Fabianski. It's an El Khanous corner coming in from this left-hand side. They have started with real momentum. El Khanous into the near post, not his greatest delivery for a set piece, and West Ham are able to clear it away. And then there's a poor header from Buonanotte, which has given possession back to the Hammers, right on the edge of their own penalty area. Paul Robinson, that is the 7th goal West Ham have conceded in the first 15 minutes of games in the Premier League this season.
And the 6th goal that they've conceded in the last 2 games, which is a worrying stat for them. I think defensively, conceding good goals, obviously, are far too many problems. And going forward, actually, you look at the goal scoring count. Danny Ings has come in tonight for Mikel Antonio, and actually Thomas Fulkrug is actually on the bench tonight. Nicholas Fulkrug has made the bench tonight. We know what a big summer signing he was. The West Ham fans have not had an opportunity to see him, but Nicholas Fulkrug is back on the bench, and Lopetegui will hopefully have him as an option sooner rather than later.
Here's Sofal for West Ham, lobbing it into the penalty area. Kudus was in there. He was under a bit of pressure. He's convinced he should have a corner, and there's a few West Ham players now surrounding young referee Josh Smith, but goal kick is the decision from him.
He's not happy, Jarrod Bowen. He's in the referee's ear. Felt he should have had a free kick earlier, and here he felt as though he should have had a corner. Nice interchange, him and Souček on the edge of the box. Kufal puts the cross in, and it's Kudus, and it's James Justin comes just across Kudus, heads it away. I think he's got a case, Jarrod Bowen. I think his team should have a corner.
It is only Josh Smith's 8th Premier League game in charge tonight. He's 31 years old, so he is certainly one of the younger referees in the Premier League, as Christensen shows a bit of heart in midfield to win an aerial duel for Leicester. Alvarez collects it. He's got the black gloves on tonight, the long sleeve shirt. Here's Sofal from the halfway line, low ball forward to his Czech international teammate Souček down the right hand side, and his cross into the middle is claimed by Mads Hermansen, the Leicester goalkeeper.
Yeah, with the West Ham fullbacks, wing-backs if you like, they're not necessarily wing-backs. Wan-Bissaka, Kufal given licence to go forward. Those are the areas that Leicester are looking to exploit again now, down this left hand side with Christensen, those spaces that the fullbacks leave from West Ham.
And back Christensen goes to El Khanous, and for the first time it feels like we can take a breath in this opening 10 minutes, because it's been frantic fare so far.
Well, the two managers certainly haven't taken a breath beneath us. Both of them right at the edge of the technical area, trying to get messages and talk to the players. Very animated, both of them.
Leicester losing possession. Here is Alvarez to move forward with it, the Mexican, right through the heart of midfield. Soucek, there's a bit of space now all of a sudden for West Ham. Bowen's in the box, Hermansen's pushed it away, sprung to his right hand side. Nice height for the goalkeeper. West Ham corner.
Well, we're right behind that. That's a really good save by Hermansen. Jared Bowen on this right hand side, he gets it at the edge of the box and you can see what he's going to do. He cuts back on his left foot. But what Christiansen, the defender, does really well for a goalkeeper, he blocks off the near post. So there's only one way that Jared Bowen can go, and it's round the goalkeeper. So the goalkeeper gets an early glance, he gets a step in, and he can spring and make a really good save. But he knows which way Bowen's going because of Christiansen's defending.
So West Ham have got 4 players here across the edge of Leicester's penalty area. So that corner comes in from the left-hand side, and Didi's clearance away was all on his own as he headed it clear for Leicester City, picked up by Wan-Bissaka, spread back out to that left-hand side. In comes the cross, out comes Hermansen. That's a commanding double fist punch from him to clear it away. And as it lobs back towards the edge of Leicester's penalty area, it's off Soucek's head and into the hands of Hermansen.
It certainly was a commanding double fist punch away, but why didn't he catch it? There was nobody around him. He's got the communication with his defenders, acres of space, yet he chooses to fist it away. Gets away with it, falls back into his possession, and Leicester can build up again from the back.
Paul Robinson, former Leeds United, Tottenham Hotspur, Blackburn Rovers goalkeeper, with us tonight here on 5 Live. Sports Extra. Leicester 1, West Ham United 0, 12 minutes played. Jamie Vardy with the first goal of the Ruud van Nistelrooy era, as Hermansen takes the ball back from one of his defenders, sends a high ball into the right channel. But at the moment it just feels like West Ham are beginning to get a grip of this game, despite the fact they're trailing by a goal to 0.
They're certainly coming into the game. The goal will have stunned them. Certainly won't have been in the game plan to concede that early on. See Lopetegui striding, pacing his technical area at the moment. But as you say, his team have responded well since going one behind. They've kept possession. They've had a couple of opportunities down the right hand side. And then Koufal and Bissaka, the fullbacks, pushing on into some very good areas.
Here's Bowen for West Ham, right side of the penalty area. Clipped cross to the far post. Hermansen with the save. The follow-up is blocked. It was really good defending. It was Max Kilman who was in there, trying to stick the rebound in, and Leicester just about able to get bodies in the way.
I don't know how he's missed that, Max Kilman. He's 2 or 3 yards out from goal. Looks like he just slips. Yet to see the replay. Goalkeeper makes a decent save down to his right hand side, comes back out to Kilman, who almost slips and slides as he's trying to put it in the net. But another warning for Leicester City that West Ham are growing in this game.
Leicester, who have lost their last 3 in a row in the Premier League, to Manchester United, to Chelsea, to Brentford at the weekend, as Buonanotte runs forward from the halfway line, a little starved for room, and West Ham clear it out to this near left hand side for a Leicester throw. And there is a bit of a problem for one of Leicester's players here. Is that Yannick Vestergaard, who is leaning down, asking if he can have a bit of treatment?
Yeah, we're just getting to see a replay of that Max Kilman miss. It was Danny Ings' header at the far post. Goalkeeper doesn't save it, it comes off the far post, and Kilman just slides in, and he slides into Vestergaard. Vestergaard puts his body on the line just as Kilman's about to strike it. He does make a mess of it, Kilman. He should do better. He's there first, but Vestergaard does all he can to put his opposition centre half off, gets some kind of a block in, but it's Danny Ings' initial header that comes back off the post.
Didn't actually need treatment in the end, Yannick Vestergaard, so he hasn't had to come off the pitch. And actually here he is on the ball now with the white boots and that trademark long hair, though it's nowhere near as long these days with Yannick Vestergaard than it used to be for the Dane. And the clearance from James Justin from that right back position deflects out of play off Kudus for a Leicester throw. 14 minutes played. Leicester 1, West Ham United 0.
Yeah, they'll be fragile, Leicester, with these chances that they've had against them already. You look at their defensive record, that's been a problem. 1 clean sheet in the last 19 Premier League home games, which isn't good enough. They've conceded at least 3 in 4 of the last 6 games. That shows you where they are defensively at the moment, and that's something that Ruud's going to have to address. Defensive stability and build a platform in the similar way that he did at PSV.
Bit of space for Buonanotte to turn on the halfway line and run into. He's carried it 20 yards already. Here's Al Khanous, who's now 10 yards outside the box, lifted up towards that far post, away on the volley by Wan-Bissaka, the former Manchester United and Crystal Palace defender. And then Kudus showing some strength on the halfway line. He's on his own at the moment, Kudus. He's got 3 Leicester players around him. He's kept them away from the ball. Then he's given it to Alvarez. It's back with Kudus again, a step over. Alvarez, right side of the penalty area. Sofal on the overlap, low ball in, caught by Hermansen, chest height.
Brilliant by Kudus. You can see why they've missed Kudus back after his 5-game ban tonight. Picks the ball up inside the centre circle. Really nice interchange with Alvarez, works his way up the pitch. Sofal in a decent crossing position, can't quite make a connection and puts the ball straight into the goalkeeper's hands. But again, encouraging from West Ham.
He was able to get a little bit of football, Mohamed Kudus, even during that 5-game ban in England, because he was away representing his country, Ghana, so he doesn't come back into this situation quite as rusty as he might have done.
It's gone quick, that, hasn't it? I mean, it only seems like 2 minutes ago he got that 5-game ban. Just shows how much football we have, doesn't it?
Quarter of an hour played, Leicester 1, West Ham United 0 here on 5 Live Sports Extra, and it's been a thoroughly absorbing 15 minutes so far. Vardy with the Leicester goal to start this Ruud van Nistelrooy era, and there were great celebrations from the Leicester City supporters, and indeed Jamie Vardy, when that goal was eventually confirmed after a VAR delay to check the offsides.
But strangely quiet. The stadium now strangely quiet in the 16th minute. West Ham fans in the corner away to our left in the usual away section here at the King Power Stadium. They're the ones making the most noise.
Do you think that's nerves?
I think the longer the game goes, if it's still 1-0, I suspect it will be, yeah. But I think, the pre-match entertainment here with the pyrotechnics and the crowd, there's a very lively atmosphere, and the goal obviously going in provided, added to that. But I think now there's just a little bit of a lull, isn't there? You can hear it in the background. It's the West Ham fans, as I say, over to our left in the far corner, the ones making the noise.
Here's Mavropanos, who wasn't available for that game against Arsenal at the weekend because of illness. The West Ham defender, Alvarez, trying to send one out to the far left-hand side. Didn't have enough height on it, so it was cut out by James Justin. Picked up though the lively Mohamed Kudus, given to Wan-Bissaka. Left-hand angle of the penalty area. Wan-Bissaka onto his left foot, back onto his right, trying to trick his way past James Justin. Alvarez now hits it from 25 yards out, repelled, and bounces out to Sofal, the right back, who's a fair way forward on this right side, but he's been forced backwards by the quick moving El Khanous.
And you can see that the 2 Leicester centre halves, the experience of Conor Cody and Vestergaard, maybe that's why Ruud's made the changes tonight. He's brought those 2 in. Leicester was starting to get deep, but you can see the communication, the information that Cody and Vestergaard are not just giving the back 4 but giving the whole team, trying not to let them sit deep and move up the pitch as a unit.
Possession at the moment though is predominantly West Ham's, it feels, despite the fact they are losing by a goal to 0. This is Mavropanos putting his foot on the ball just inside his own half, and then Alvarez, who's seen a lot of the ball actually in 18 minutes so far, through ball looking for Bowen, stopped by Christensen, back to his goalkeeper Hermansen, and between the 2 Leicester Danes they've cleared the ball away. Here is Conor Cody, made his first Premier League start for Leicester City at the weekend, and Ruud van Nistelrooy has stuck with him in his back line tonight. Yannick Vestergaard, one of those to come back into the Leicester team, gives it to Ndidi, and here's James Justin, a little further advance from that right back position. They'll enjoy a bit of a feel of the ball, I think, here, Leicester.
This is the first spell of possession that they've actually had for a while. West Ham have been good. They've been good in possession, and when they have won the ball back, they've kept it. Leicester have been starved of possession really since they've got their goal.
Christensen coming forward from his own half into West Ham's on this near left-hand side. Leicester going from right to left in this first half. It's not completely packed inside King Power Stadium tonight. In fact, you look around, there are quite a few vacant blue seats, Paul.
Surprised, yeah, obviously with the new manager coming in. But obviously it's a midweek game early in December, you can understand. But actually with the new manager coming in, you would have thought it may have been full. But the ones that are in here made some great noise before kick-off. But as we said, after the goal, maybe a little bit of nerves have crept in.
But now they are having a bit of time on the ball, and they look like they're enjoying it, Leicester. Christensen takes it from Vestergaard, forces it forward to Jamie Vardy, who's got the throw because it's deflected off the shins of Sofal. So Leicester throw, left-hand side, midway inside West Ham's half.
Works Jamie Vardy, tirelessly, absolutely working up and down the line. Sometimes thanklessly, doesn't always get the ball, but he's a pest. He's a real pest for defenders. Mavropanos and Kilman, I'll be fed up of looking for him tonight.
Buonanotte thought he was foul. Referee didn't see it that way. Danny Ings for West Ham, poking it wide to Jared Bowen. Bowen advanced on the right-hand side, tees it back. Sofal's cross into the box. Vestergaard's scruffy clearance. Christensen's helped him out by clearing it away further, but it's only gone as far as Alvarez, who is still keeping the pressure on for West Ham, because at the moment they are high up on this right-hand side. Sofal has gone back to Mavropanos, who is 15 yards inside Leicester's half. Now Carlos Soler and Soucek, and worked out farther still to that left-hand side. Kudus comes short to get it from Wan-Bissaka. And back with Max Kilman now. Kilman, left-footed cross-field pass out to Sofal, who has stayed high on this right-hand side. West Ham are keeping Leicester pinned in at the moment. They're 1-0 down. It's poked through. It's Jared Bowen. It's stopped by the legs of Hermansen. Not for the first time in this game. Leicester City's goalkeeper makes a big stop.
Yeah, he didn't want that on his right foot, didn't Jared Bowen? You could see it. It was an inadvertent one too. I don't think Soler meant it. Jared Bowen played it into him, and it was a poor touch, and it was a longer touch than he expected, but it fell inadvertently into the path of Jared Bowen, who was 6 yards out on the angle on his right foot. All he could do was hit it straight at Hermansen, who stood well, stood big, made his angles right, and made the block.
And the more this goes on, the more West Ham will wonder how they're behind in this game, but they are trailing 1-0. Jamie Vardy with the goal, his fourth of his career against West Ham United. 20 minutes played. It's Christensen, and back on the halfway line here is Soumaré. Boubacar Soumaré was on loan with Seville last season in La Liga with Leicester down in the Championship, but back and playing his part in the Premier League again this season. Given away by Buonanotte, trying to turn his pass round the corner for Vardy. So West Ham have it on the halfway line. Up it goes to Soucek. Soumaré deemed to have had to come through the back of Tomáš Soucek to get the ball there, which he didn't do, and actually is going to get a yellow card as well. So the first booking of the evening goes to Leicester's midfielder.
Yeah, it was a poor tackle by Soumaré. Ball comes in, he gets caught the wrong side, and he just takes the back of Soucek's legs. You can see what he was doing. Soucek was away, he turned away from him, and he was facing the Leicester back four. There's nothing that Soumaré could do. He tried to win the ball, but he came from behind, and that's what the referees don't like. Took the legs of Soucek and obviously got himself into the book. It's not a nice challenge when you watch it again.
So free kick to West Ham United, right in the middle of the park. Soler's lifted it forward, and the header is looped up and into the hands of Mads Hermansen. Leicester 1, West Ham 0. 6 more Premier League commentaries to bring you tomorrow night, including Arsenal against Manchester United, which we'll have from 8:15 on 5 Live. Before that, on Sports Extra, Newcastle against Liverpool at 7:30, and those other 4 games available via the BBC Sport website and app. And then, of course, 2 more on Thursday, and you can hear both of those on 5 Live and Sports Extra as well. Fulham, Brighton and Bournemouth, Tottenham. But here, Leicester 1-0 up in Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game in charge. That's a nice ball. Here's McAteer. Hasn't seen too much of the ball so far. McAteer, cross a bit too heavy for Jamie Vardy. Was waiting at the far post, but it was too high for him. Here's El Khanous, who's picked it up on the left wing, up against Sofal. Low ball in with his left foot, taken off him well by Mavropanos away from Vardy, and West Ham back in possession.
Yeah, it was a lovely ball over the top that time by El Khanous, right into the path of Casey McAteer. Similar run to what you normally see Jamie Vardy do. West Ham defence holding quite a high line. He's just on Kilman's shoulder. McAteer, good ball over the top by El Khanous.
Only the second start in the Premier League this season for Casey McAteer, the 23-year-old of Leicester City. Mavropanos, here's Bowen. Just feels like you can't glance away from this game for a moment. It's moving from end to end. Here's Danny Ings, first West Ham Premier League start of the season for him tonight. Alvarez into the feet of Bowen, back with Alvarez again, and Bowen once more. Ings is trying to provide the movement infield, but with nowhere for Bowen to go. It eventually is back on the halfway line at the feet of Mavropanos.
I don't think he'd be too disappointed, Lopetegui, with his teams. Where obviously since conceding the goal, they've had the lion's share of the possession. They've dominated the opportunities, and Fabianski's goal hasn't really ever been under threat. It's West Ham are the ones that are posing the questions and creating things going forward.
Soler, the former PSG academy player. Alvarez, here is Sofal, 20 yards from the edge of Leicester's penalty area, but West Ham are 1-0 down here against the Foxes. This is Max Kilman, the former Wolves player. Kilman, who of course was with Lopetegui, the West Ham manager, at Wolverhampton Wanderers, so that is a relationship that has been reinvigorated this season. Wan-Bissaka, Kudus, Soler now, but halfway inside Leicester's half, so they won't mind having West Ham here. Leicester City, as Christensen wins the header above Sofal in the left-back area as far as Leicester are concerned, but El Khanous with a heavy touch has run that ball out of play, and it's going to be a West Ham corner.
And that's an example of West Ham's dominance. You look at El Khanous and Casey McAteer, they're dropping in alongside Ndidi and Soumaré to make obviously a defensive more four in midfield. Buonanotte is the one that's been allowed to roam higher in behind Jamie Vardy, but his two wide attacking midfielders Ruud van Nistelrooy. They're asking to be done more defensive work than going forward.
So here comes that West Ham corner. 25 minutes in at King Power Stadium. They're 1-0 down to Leicester, and Manson just about got something on it. Kudus has left it. He thought about trying something acrobatic there, but I think he felt that Soler was in a better position. And then Leicester win the ball, and Leicester break. And off goes McAteer. Support to his right-hand side through Buonanotte. Wan-Bissaka's back there with him, and the Brighton loanee is seen out with a strong piece of defensive play by Wan-Bissaka.
Brilliant, Wan-Bissaka. You know, we all talk about his defensive qualities, and that's the perfect example of him 1v1, running back towards his own goal. Stands up with Buonanotte and he times the challenge perfectly. He looks exposed at one point, Wan-Bissaka. Buonanotte gets the wrong side of him, gets to the ball first. You think he's outpaced Wan-Bissaka, but no. Gets his shoulder in, leans on Buonanotte, times his challenge to perfection. Some really good defending by Wan-Bissaka.
Paul Robinson with us tonight on 5 Live Sports Extra. And of course Wan-Bissaka, who's been showing his qualities down the other end of the pitch in the past couple of games with his
2-2, isn't it now, for Wan-Bissaka?
It is, yeah.
He's entering the West Ham leading goal scorers this season. You've got Bowen, Souček and Kudus on 2 Premier League goals. Paqueta and Wan-Bissaka close behind on 2. Sorry, on 3 and then 2.
Yeah, 2 in his last 2. Prior to that, 2 in 247 games.
Is that what it was before that?
London buses and all of that. Leicester throw halfway inside West Ham's half, I'd say just about. 1-0 up against West Ham. That early goal, by the way, if you're just joining us, scored by Jamie Vardy, the first goal of Ruud van Nistelrooy's spell as Leicester City manager. It feels very fitting that it is Leicester's number 9, one of their all-time greats, Jamie Vardy, that's got the goal. But they've conceded possession here, Leicester, and West Ham have given it back to their goalkeeper Fabianski.
And if you are just joining us, it was a Jamie Vardy goal. Picture that run on the shoulder of the defender, through 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, slips it past him so simply. But it's that run we see him do so many times, just times his run perfectly off the shoulder, the last defender. A long VAR check because it was tight.
Sorry Paul, here come West Ham United. It's Kudus and Wan-Bissaka combining. Kudus' cross, Souček's header wide of the left-hand post, and West Ham's fans think that have gone in. To be fair to them, they're at the other end of the stadium, but you might have heard the roar. That was coming from West Ham's fans. There's a few of them smiling in that away end. It's wide of the post. It's still 1-0 Leicester. Well,
it would have looked all the world to the West Ham fans in the opposite corner to where it was. I mean, Soufal at the far post gets a good header on it. It just goes wide, catches the outside of the post and runs along the side netting. So for those West Ham fans who are completely adjacent in the opposite corner of the stadium, it will have looked like that was in the back of the net.
Yeah, West Ham are attacking Leicester City's Kop end in this first half. Leicester going from right to left. McAteer with it. His cross in the middle looking for Vardy. Flicked away by the heel of Vladimir Soufal. And now West Ham spring down the other end with Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, they're certainly not going away, West Ham. They're enjoying possession, enjoying going forwards.
Keeping his feet, running up to the edge of the box. Bowen's inside the penalty area. He puts it back across the 6-yard box and nobody's on the end of it. Danny Ings was close, but not quite close enough. He's got his hands on his head.
He's got his head in his hands because he knows if he'd have just continued his run at the far post, he had the simplest of tasks. Jared Bowen does extremely well down the right-hand side. It's Kudus again. He's at the heart of everything that West Ham are doing well. Jared Bowen gets around the outside and he plays a lovely ball across the 6-yard box with his right foot. He looks up, he spots Danny Ings, but Danny Ings, for whatever reason, just doesn't continue his run. He's got to tap him from 2 yards out, and he knows what an easy chance that could have been. Almost put Lopetegui on his knees below us.
Scored the winner, actually, Danny Ings for Southampton here in a fixture 5 years ago. Does have one Premier League goal this season, and that was a very important one for West Ham, actually, because it was a 95th minute equaliser against Fulham. Leicester 1, West Ham 0 tonight at King Power Stadium. Cold night as well in the East Midlands.
He's got his team selection right tonight, Lopetegui, because Alvarez, who's on the ball now, he's dropping in to make a back 3. So when West Ham are in possession, you look at the 2 fullbacks, Wan-Bissaka on the left and Soufal on the right. They push on so high, they're almost attacking wide players when West Ham are in possession, and Alvarez just drops in the middle of Mavropanos and Kilman to make a back 3 to give those fullbacks an opportunity to go forward.
And even though it hasn't quite worked out for them there, it's also allowing Mohamed Kudus just to drop into pockets of space and retrieve the ball.
Yeah, it's an interesting shape, a really interesting shape, because out of possession they're a clear back 4, and they lined up the game. It was a back 4, but in possession as they are now, Alvarez drops in between the 2 centre halves and creates so much width with the 2 fullbacks. And as you say, the width that the fullbacks are creating, it allows Kudus the space to activate himself in the middle of the park.
Soufal is tripped 20 yards inside Leicester's half, so it's a West Ham free kick on this near right-hand side. Ruud van Nistelrooy back on the edge of his touchline again here with his hands in his pocket. Looks very slick, doesn't he, Ruud van Nistelrooy, tonight in his first game as Leicester City manager.
Could be one of those contrasting pictures, couldn't it? Like this, when the first day he took over to a picture at the end of the season, depending on how Leicester's season's gone. A contrast in the colour of his hair and how he looks.
Yeah, I've seen a few Premier League managers that have looked haggard after a season in the job.
You can understand the pressures, can't you?
Absolutely. Buonanotte, El Canouse for Leicester. Midway point in West Ham's half. They're 1-0 up. McAteer's got it on this right-hand side with his blonde hair. And there's nothing on going forward for Leicester, so it's probably sensible for them to restart slightly and come backwards for Vestergaard. And here is Connor Cody, who was saying that Leicester, after that defeat against Brentford, lost 4-1 at the weekend, were in a dark place. It will feel a whole lot brighter at the moment. El Canouse trying to slip it through, not once but twice, and two important interceptions, the second of which was by Max Kilman, the West Ham centre-half, to slide it out of play for a Leicester throw on the right.
Look a little bit one-dimensional, Leicester, at the moment, looking for that through ball, whether it's El Canouse, whether it's McAteer or Vardy on the shoulder. They're looking for that West Ham high line and then to slip the ball through very quickly down the sides, and everything else that they're doing, when they do get possession, it's in front of West Ham and they're not really pulling them out of position.
So we've gone past the half hour. Leicester are leading West Ham 1-0, and that's a misplaced pass from Yannick Vestergaard, Leicester's centre-half, only his 5th Premier League start of the season. Has had an ankle injury in this campaign as well, so it's out for a West Ham throw. Far left-hand side, so almost in front of those Hammers fans that are over in the, what that would be the northeast corner of this King Power Stadium, as West Ham play their way out of trouble by looping it out to Soufal on the right-hand side, but he ran into traffic in the middle of the park, and Leicester retrieve it with Yannick Vestergaard.
Yeah, the game's settled a little bit now. Both teams enjoying spells of possession. The intensity, the press has dropped off from both sides. Both sides were pressing high when we were in the earlier stages of the game, but at the moment they're allowing the opposition to have possession, harmless possession in front of them. West Ham currently trying to put a press on.
Hermansen being closed down by Jarrod Bowen, but he didn't look flummoxed by that, Leicester's goalkeeper, though they haven't managed to keep possession for anything longer than a few seconds there. Mavropanos sends it forward again for West Ham. Ings trying to hold it up. Vestergaard too strong for him. Now Buonanotte's got it, and Buonanotte feeding it through. McAteer, wrong side of West Ham's defence. Vardy wants it. Fabianski knew what was happening, the goalkeeper, and managed to spread himself to block what looked like a pass from Casey McAteer.
Well, it's exactly what we just discussed about with the way that Leicester are playing. Really good defensive play by Vestergaard. Steps in, wins his team possession back, and it's Buonanotte who plays the ball in for McAteer down that right hand side. Times his run on the shoulder of Wan-Bissaka to perfection. Gets in behind Mavropanos, but the goalkeeper Fabianski this time does well, comes out, spreads himself, makes a block with his right knee and recovers the rebound.
And Mavropanos just about did enough there, didn't he, with his body to ensure that Casey McAteer's options were limited.
That's twice that he's been done tonight, though. Jamie Vardy for the goal and McAteer there, and Jamie Vardy again for the opportunity that he had earlier on. Clearly something that Leicester have looked at. They understand the pace that they've got there in Jamie Vardy. That threat's always there, and he's occupying the two centre halves in Mavropanos and Kilman, and that allows Elyounoussi and McAteer the opportunity to then run beyond Jamie Vardy, which is what's just happened.
That's the voice of Paul Robinson with us here on 5 Live Sports Extra tonight. Leicester City 1-0 up against West Ham United. A full Premier League week in terms of fixtures, and you can hear all of them on either 5 Live Sports Extra, or via BBC Sounds this week. And remember, you can download the BBC Sounds app. You can take us with you wherever you go, so if you are out and about doing something, maybe something festive on this December week, make sure you've got BBC Sounds with you as well, so you can plug yourself into everything that's happening with the football. Here's Jarrod Bowen. Good work from him down the right hand side, away from Buonanotte, who couldn't quite stay with him, and then well intercepted by Wilfred Ndidi, who just sort of glided in there, didn't he, the Leicester City midfielder, to pinch the ball back. Yeah,
absolutely. Are you suggesting, Chris, that people should take headphones and other sets of equipment with them to certain situations that they might not necessarily want to be in and listen to us?
That wasn't the...
I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily what I was implying, but if you are perhaps going to a Christmas light switch on this week and you don't want to be there,
nativities, etc.,
you got it.
You can always have BBC Sounds in your ears.
The perfect plug from Paul Robinson. Here's Alvarez, little 1-2 with Soler. right hand side, now into the final third that West Ham are attacking on this right hand side. Sofal's cross, Hermansen got a hand to it, it's only come out as far as Kudus' layup, Soler's hit, blocked by Samare, then Wan-Bissaka went for it, back in by Soler again, but nobody at the far post where Carlos Soler dinked it up to, and Christensen has time to clear for Leicester.
You feel the pressure is growing from West Ham. They're certainly dominating the possession stats, opportunities, touches in the final third.
Souček, edge of Leicester's penalty area. Alvarez, low ball in, Bowen's effort. Super stop Hermansen. He's made some decent ones in this game, but I'd say that's the best so far from Leicester's Danish goalkeeper. Got a hand to it, pushed it away. Corner to West Ham.
He's just kept his team in the game, Mads Hermansen. It's a really good cross in. 8 yards out, Jared Bowen just lets it run across his body. Alvarez it is, puts in the low cross. Jared Bowen just lets it run across his body low to the goalkeeper's left. He puts a really strong hand on it and deflects it out for the corner.
Really quick reactions from the goalkeeper. Here comes the West Ham corner, which is cleared away as far as Soler. It came through a crowd. It didn't hit anyone on its way through, and it ended up flying about a yard or two wide of Hermansen's right post.
You ask Hermansen, he wasn't that sure. You watch the goalkeeper, I can tell you right now, he thought that might have just been nestling in the corner of his net from Soler. There's a crowd of bodies in front of him. It was headed out from a corner, came out to Soler on the edge of the box. Goalkeeper couldn't see a thing. Next thing he saw was it whistling past his post, thankfully for him.
I'm wondering if there might be an issue with Danny Ings here. There's a suggestion that West Ham could be making a change shortly.
Yeah, there's activity on the bench below us. 3 coaches down there looking. I can't see who it is that's getting changed, whether it's Antonio or one of the other, whether it's Crescencio Somerville. But there is certainly a problem with one of the attacking West Ham players at the moment.
Yeah, I just saw the camera zoom in on Danny Ings, which is always a suggestion that that player might have a particular problem. Oh, Vardy goes flying into Mavropanos. That was untidy from Leicester's captain. There's a little tap on the head of Mavropanos, the West Ham centre-back, but it is a yellow card for Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, it was a poor tackle by Jamie Vardy. Down on this near touchline, didn't really need to make it. He's slipping to Mavropanos as well. Yeah, he kind of slips into it, stops himself from sliding in. Mavropanos just turns, does a Cruyff turn, leaves Vardy stranded and takes his trailing leg and gets a booking.
He was actually sent off, Paul, in this fixture back in 2016, Jamie Vardy. It's across the years, it just seems to be a Premier League fixture that has had a lot of red cards in it. We've had 8 down the years, four for each. Here's Bowen, he's becoming more and more of a threat in this game. Bowen shoots from the edge of the box, blocked, was the better option to go to the left for Kudus. He's kept the ball in play. Has he? No, he's going to let that run out because it is going to be a West Ham throw deep inside Leicester's half, down by that corner flag.
Yeah, and it is Crescencio Somerville, I think, below us, who's going to come onto the pitch. Danny Ings, he looks like he might be hobbling. Be interesting to see if there is a formation change, or if it is Ings that's... He's not gone down, Danny Ings, has he? That's the thing. You can't tell whether he is or he isn't, but one of the West Ham attacking players is definitely struggling, because it is Crescencio Somerville with his number 7 shirt on below us, getting ready to come on. But another good opportunity there for Jared Bowen. Maybe took the wrong option, should have gone left to Kudus.
Yeah, Leicester's 1-0 lead is feeling increasingly thin here, as Kilman lobs one out to that far left hand side for Wan-Bissaka. Alvarez is lingering on the edge of the box. Neat little 1-2 involving him, but Leicester retrieve it with Ndidi. Up it goes to Vardy. He's the only one up there though, so he's having to do a fair bit of work. He's kept Mavropanos away from the ball, and James Justin under pressure from Mohamed Kudus, and pressure enough that has forced the Leicester right back to concede the throw.
Yeah, it's good pressure, pressing high up again from the West Ham players. Leicester conceded a needless throw-in, surrendering possession.
Both the managers are stood on the edge of their technical areas as West Ham come forward again at Leicester's defence, which is really becoming a theme here. We've got just over 6 minutes left of the first half. That's a mistake by Wan-Bissaka. Tried to trick his way past Casey McAteer, didn't work. Just watching below us, Chris, the West Ham bench really actively trying to get an answer from Danny Ings, I think it is. They've got Crescencio Somerville stripped and ready to come on, but Ings is across the other side of the pitch. They're trying to get a message on. Is he fit to carry on, or is he not fit to carry on? They've just told Crescencio Somerville to put his coat back on. He might not be coming on. Referee's assistant, the 4th official, has just put the board away. So I think they're going to give Danny Ings, obviously, to try and get him to half-time and see if they need to make a change then. But it's a strange one, because Somerville was stripped at the touchline, ready to come on. He was right there. I mean, the only thing that stopped him coming on was the fact the 4th official didn't have the digital display up.
And Danny Ings then turned around to his manager and says, no, I'm OK. So it's one to keep an eye on.
Maybe that's a bit of a warrior mentality from from Danny Ings. A couple of big blinks from Julian Lopetegui, the West Ham coach, down on the touchline on this chilly night. Big coats needed this evening at Leicester City's home, as Samare can run across the pitch from right to left, but inside his own half at the moment. He hasn't really got an option ahead of him, so smartly he's gone back to Vestergaard, up into the feet of Buonanotte, the young Brighton loanee. He's had a great impact actually for Kundo Buonanotte since he's come into the football club in what's been a difficult season for Leicester.
Yeah, scored a fantastic opening goal at the weekend against Brentford, where you thought Leicester started the game really well, but then obviously went on to lose it. But he's been a good signing, Buonanotte, a quality player. Surprised Brighton let him go, in all honesty.
Especially with that injury to Joao Pedro as well. They have been a bit short of attacking options, Brighton, this season. Danny Welbeck been playing particularly well. This is Sofau, gives it to Bowen. Leicester were hoping that Jared Bowen had crept offside there, but there was no flag against him, so he's still got the ball at his feet. Leicester are 1-0 up against West Ham, an early goal from Jamie Vardy, but West Ham are playing the better stuff, and they certainly have had the better opportunities, but they've lost the ball. They were overplaying there. Al-Khanous has it, sweeps it out to this left-hand side for Jamie Vardy. Vardy, 10 yards outside West Ham's penalty area, up against Mavropanos, trying to go around the outside of him, to the byline, lifted up to the far post. Nobody there, over the head of Buonanotte. Soler brings it away for West Ham.
He's got the beating of Mavropanos as Jamie Vardy. All he does is drop the shoulder and he just runs around the outside of him, looks up, dinks it to the far post. Thankfully, from a West Ham point of view, there was nobody there to get on the end of it, but Jamie Vardy is having a field day tonight when he does get the ball. Starved of possession, doesn't get opportunities, but when he does, gets in behind Mavropanos yet again, just like he did for the goal.
Goal for Crystal Palace at Portman Road tonight. Ipswich 0, Crystal Palace 1. It is Jean-Philippe Mateta who's got the opener for Oliver Glasner's side, so that is a big game down at the bottom of the table, and Crystal Palace have got the lead. That got underway at 7:30. You can hear the concluding minutes of that game if you wish. It's our live commentary right now over on 5 Live with Ali Bruce Ball and Mark Schwarzer. But here at King Power, Leicester, through Jamie Vardy's goal, 1-0 up against West Ham United, and we're in the final 3 minutes of this first half. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, I think obviously Lopetegui will be not the happier of the two managers, but the way his team have played, he'll be happy, apart from conceding the goal. They have looked defensively vulnerable when they've played a high line, when McAteer, when El-Khanous and Vardy have played on the shoulder, but other than that, on a very rare opportunities, Leicester they've not had much of a goal threat. West Ham have dominated possession, had the better of the chances.
Mavropanos with the cross into the box, the header which was met in typically firm fashion from Tomasz Souček, loops up and over the bar, but he's hurt himself in that aerial collision, and I think it might be James Justin who's down for Leicester as well. Both really wanted to get on the end of that ball.
What I was going to say to you then before I stopped, because West Ham had the attacking opportunity, they've just lacked a little bit of quality in the final third, West Ham, and that's another example of it there. The ball just a little bit too high for Soufal at the far post. Souček there tries to get up, win the header. They've created chances, they've had the opportunities, they've dominated possession. The final pass, the final shot, the last execution, whatever it may be, whether it be a pass, a shot, a cross, just hasn't had the quality that the rest of their build-up players had.
If you were, and James Justin is just getting some treatment here, so we do have a little delay. If you were a West Ham fan, Paul Robinson, would you be concerned still about what's going on beneath you in that Premier League table? Do you think they could get sucked into it in the weeks ahead? No,
absolutely not. West Ham in a relegation battle, that's not a sentence you put together. I think the thing from a West Ham point of view is when you look at what they've had with David Moyes over recent seasons, and you look at the finish that they've had, you look at the European success that they've had, and then the new manager comes in and everybody expects an immediate change in style and change in results. So David Moyes, when he took over, West Ham was 16th, then 6th, 7th, 14th and 9th, with a European trophy in there as well. So then you think, right, we're going to progress, we're going to bring this manager in who's got experience. There's going to be a style of play change, which I think was the biggest thing for West Ham fans. They wanted to see the club develop and go forward. It's easy because you see what Unai Emery's done at Aston Villa, a club of a similar stature, similar size. You look at what they've spent, you look at what West Ham have spent, and the West Ham fans want to be that type of progressive club with a manager like Unai Emery, and I thought that was going to be the case with Lopetegui. Results haven't gone their way. Listen, they've spent a lot of money. Fulkrug's not been fit, we've not yet to see him this season. he's on the bench here tonight. Not necessarily had all his players at the disposal that he would have wanted. There is reasons, there's excuses, but actually the form that the loss at Forest, the draw at home to Everton, results haven't been good enough, and they have to turn around. Because I always say it, the best gift you can give any good manager is time, but actually in the Premier League you're not always afforded that, because it's a results-based business.
Finally back underway after the treatment that was ongoing for James Justin, who did have a cut to the back of his head, so he's had to go off the pitch at the moment. Leicester are down to 10 players as Ndidi flicks the ball over his opponent's head, which was impressive for those watching from a Leicester perspective. They enjoyed that. We're in the final few seconds of the first half, plus we're going to have a few minutes, I think, of added on time because of that injury to James Justin and because of the VAR delay, which was waiting to check on whether Jamie Vardy's goal was legitimate. Leicester 1, West Ham United 0. Samare for Vestergaard, but all of this right at the moment on the edge of Leicester's penalty area. Christensen gives it back to Samare. 4 minutes of added on time at the end of this first half at Leicester, as Ndidi gives an awkward ball to El Khanous up in the air. He wins the aerial battle ahead of Sofal on the halfway line, but Sofal gets on the seconds and he sends his pass all the way back to keeper Fabianski.
Yeah, if Leicester do get the result tonight, Ruud van Nistelrooy won't care how nervy it was, how edgy it was. It's about putting confidence into this side. This is a team that have played 13 Premier League games this season and only won 2 of them. So you can see they are going to be devoid of confidence. There is going to be an air of caution about this team. But actually going 1-0 up now, if they get to half-time, you take the game then in stages. So he'll be absolutely delighted if he can get his team in at half-time. 1-0 up, pass on a few messages, bit of encouragement, get them higher up the pitch, send them out for the second half, and then you take it in 10-minute sections in the second half. Any type of result for them tonight will be a step forward for him.
He's actually not lost in his last 20 games as a manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy. 4 with Manchester United, 16 with PSV Eindhoven. Now, Sofal, that didn't look a particularly tidy challenge on Jamie Vardy. There's some Leicester players that are asking questions about what the colour of the card might be for Vladimir Sofal. For now, at least, it will be a yellow card for the defender. Yeah,
it was right underneath us. Jamie Vardy went down rolling. He's still down hurt. Catches him, Sofal. Vardy's just too quick for him, gets in, nips the ball in front of him. He does get a little bit of the ball, Sofal, actually, but I think it's because he goes in with a flat foot. It's one of those challenges where a defender slides in and his foot's up, but he just puts it down at the last. Gets the ball, but catches Jamie Vardy. Referee gets that one right for me.
Enjoyed Julian Lopetegui on the touchline, making the motion of the ball as if to say he got the ball, ref. He got the ball, he didn't. He's got a yellow card, Vladimir Sofal, who's not been used regularly at all for West Ham this season, certainly from the starting games. He's been on the bench for the last 11 Premier League matches. So a yellow card for him. Third of this first half for those on the pitch. Here comes the Leicester free kick into the box. Vestergaard's knockdown, Wan-Bissaka's clearance, and Vestergaard letting that run out of play for a Leicester throw right on top of the corner flag, deep inside West Ham territory on that right-hand side.
That's an interesting tactic there from Leicester City. I know it's late in the first half, they want to get to half-time. Goalkeeper's taking a free kick 2 yards inside his own box, and the 2 centre-backs go forward. Cody and Vestergaard hits a long ball, diagonal ball to the corner of the box to his centre-half Vestergaard. So that's obviously something that Leicester are going to use going forward with Ruud van Nistelrooy, not afraid to play longer and more direct.
So last couple of minutes of this first half here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Leicester 1, West Ham 0. Vestergaard's ball forward, mistake by Kilman. He's given the ball to Buonanotte on the halfway line, poor clearance from him. Not a great pass either from Buonanotte. Lacked the punch to push it through to Vardy, and then Christensen has fouled Kudus.
Yeah, you can see the game plan though, with El Khanous on the left, McAteer on the right, and Jamie Vardy. As soon as there's a breakdown in possession, a turnover of possession, those 3 immediately get on the shoulders of those West Ham defenders and look for the ball slip down the sides and into the channels.
So West Ham, who have begun the week 6 points above the relegation zone, they are 5 points worse off than at this stage of last season. They're 1-0 down against Leicester City, though I think Julian Lopetegui will feel that is not a scoreline that has been reflective of the way West Ham have played this first half. But they've lost the ball here on the halfway line, and Samare has the chance to play a pass through for McAteer, and it's intercepted by Kilman. That was a big chance for Leicester.
Makes a mess of that, Samare really does. McAteer, if he gets the ball right, he's through. On the edge of the box, Samare just looks up, gets it all wrong. Max Kilman, to his credit, positions himself well and reads the game extremely well.
Here's Kudus down the right-hand side. El Khanous, who's done some good defensive work in this first half, again with the sliding challenge. Mavropanos then wins the physical battle with Vardy. tries to go past two. He's still going, Mavropanos. Gives it to Kudus, right-hand side of the box, low ball in. Ings is scuffed, volley up into the air. Hermansen's bumped into his own player, so that's not going to be a free kick. The goalkeeper's back on his feet. Soler shoots, Hermansen blocks it. This is absolute carnage inside the box, and eventually Hermansen has got his hands on it, and that is the half-time whistle as well. So Leicester City at the break, leading West Ham United by 1-0. Jamie Vardy with it, 2 minutes in. What a perfect start for Ruud van Nistelrooy in his first game as Leicester City manager, as he makes his way down into the dressing room to talk to his players. But Paul Robinson, they've had to absorb an awful lot of West Ham pressure since then.
Well, if he didn't know about the stress of being a Premier League manager, he certainly does now after that first 45 minutes. His team give him the best start they could have possibly done. The early goal from Jamie Vardy, so Jamie Vardy-esque. On the shoulder of the defender, gets himself through, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, opens his body up, slots it in, VAR check. Wasn't offside, so clever Jamie Vardy. But then West Ham have really grown into the game. Lopetegui will be really happy with the way that his team have responded since going 1-0 down. Alvarez in the middle of midfield, dropping back to make a back three when they're in possession. The two full-backs were almost like wing-backs, and Soufal and Wan-Bissaka stretching the pitch, making it wide, causing Leicester City all kinds of problems. Jarrod Bowen roaming free. The one worrying thing from a West Ham point of view is the fitness of Danny Ings. Does look like he's carrying a knock. Some point in that first half, Crescencio Somerville looked like he may have been making an appearance, may come on in the second half, but other than that, other than going behind, Lopetegui won't have anything bad to say about his team. They've been very good, West Ham, in this first half.
Yep, but they are trailing Leicester City by 1-0, so as it stands, if it were to stay this way, Leicester 15th in the Premier League table would have 13 points, so they would be 4 clear of the relegation zone and 2 behind West Ham, who are immediately above them. James Justin, by the way, has been receiving treatment. We know that he took a whack to the back of his head about 5 minutes or so ago, and in that melee right at the end there, he's needed to be checked over by the medical staff. So everyone else has gone down the tunnel. He's now trotting across the pitch to go and join his probably pretty happy teammates in that Leicester City dressing room. At half-time, Leicester are leading West Ham United by 1-0 here on 5 Live Sports Extra. We'll be back for the second half shortly, but in the meantime, let's hear a little excerpt, shall we, from the Monday Night Club last night. Mark Chapman hosting as always. Chris Sutton, Rory Smith and Shay Gibbon were the guests on the show, and last night they had a guest appearance from Leyton Orient's heroic goalkeeper Josh Keeley. You might have seen this at the weekend. He scored a crucial goal. That is the goalkeeper scoring a crucial goal to take their FA Cup second round tie against Oldham. 2 extra time, Leyton Orient would go on to win that FA Cup tie. So let's hear what Josh Keeley had to say about it.
Everyone will be inside the Oldham Athletic 18-yard box. This is the game. In it comes, right-footed, drilled across goal. And yeah, the keeper's equalised! I do not believe it! A tale that only the FA Cup could tell as Josh Keeley breaks Oldham Athletic hearts. We're heading to extra time. I do not believe my eyes.
Now, what's great is because you can watch us on the iPlayer, as well as listen on 5 Live and BBC Sounds, we played that clip in so you could see it. And Josh Keeley, who joins us, Leyton Orient's goal-scoring goalkeeper, could then watch it whilst waiting to talk to us. And there was a little grin on your face then as that cross came in, Josh. Evening.
How's it going, Yori?
Yeah, very good. How many times have you watched it back?
Oh, I've lost count at this stage.
Do you remember it? I mean, in training, do you practice going up for corners at the end? Talk us through it.
No, I never practice it. I'm just used to doing it on FIFA or something. That's about it. But it was just mental. Like, I remember looking over at the side to the manager, and he said he wasn't really looking at me. And then the goalie coach kind of looked over, got his attention, and then the manager just kind of, nodded his head like that. And I just remember going up and then said, I'm going to make a run.
I mean, it was a great run. It looks like a great header, and you even get the celebration down to a T as well with the knee slide. I mean, it couldn't have gone much better for you, really.
No, I know. It's like I practice every week or something with that knee slide.
25 years, Josh, I was a professional goalkeeper and I never scored once, so I'm jealous of your achievements over the weekend. It's unbelievable. It's amazing what it does. I mean, I remember years gone by, you're probably too young, Josh, but what do you call it? Jimmy Glass, was it, at Carlisle?
Yeah.
He scored and he kept them up in the division, and it's just something special when a goalkeeper scores. I remember Peter Schmeichel scored a few over the years, and a few other, I suppose, goalkeepers I'm forgetting now, but Begovic scored a long kick, I think, at Stoke once perhaps, but your celebration and your goal was just so special, man, and had me up off the sofa when I seen it go in. It's just that feeling, I suppose, we never really get it. We're always the entertainment destroyers or whatever you want to call us, making saves when we get all booed from the opposition, but that feeling of scoring, I mean, Chris Sutton will probably tell you better than anyone, but the feeling must have been immense on the weekend.
Oh, it was incredible, honestly, and the most kind of important thing to me was that my mum and dad were there as well.
Brilliant.
So they actually got to witness it.
Class.
And it's something, as you said, it's very, very rare for a goalkeeper. It's just I didn't really know what to do, to be honest. I remember just running to the side and kind of pointing to the crowd that I scored, like, because you know yourself.
The manager's not tempted to put you up front next week or anything, no?
I don't know. I think I've put it in his mind, all right.
Is it right? Is it right? That's your first goal at any level since you were 12, when you moved from centre half to playing goal.
Yeah, first ever goal.
So why, when you were 12, why did you move to go in goal?
Well, my dad was a goalkeeper. He played at Newry years ago up north in Northern Ireland, and I kind of always brought gloves everywhere with me because he always had a spare pair with him. Whether they were 10 sizes too big for me, I brought a pair, and I just used to love it. I don't know what it was. As Shay would tell you, it was the mentality of a goalkeeper, just to dive around, get muddy when you were young. Mm-hmm. And I just loved doing it. So then I ended up taking it up, and it just went from there.
Mark, we had a caller into 606, Mark, Josh, who was a Leyton Orient fan. It was a brilliant call, and he talked us through how you ended up going up, and you said that the manager wasn't looking at you, and he said the crowd were all wanting you to go up and urging you up, and you looked over at the manager and he was looking down at the floor, and then you went a little bit further and he was still looking down at the floor, and they were screaming you up, and eventually he gave you a sort of a look when you were nearly there anyway. And they said it was absolutely amazing. And then there was plenty of drama in extra time as well. Your team missed a penalty, didn't they? And then you won late on anyway.
Yeah, we got pen. I think it was in the first half of extra time, and I'm thinking to myself, if we score this, like, it's great. But then we missed it, and then the game went on, and then we scored in the last minute of the second half as well. Be
honest. Was there a little bit of you when the penalty was awarded thinking, I'll volunteer? It's gone so far with the header. Maybe I'll just have a little word, see if I can take the penalty.
No, I kind of said to myself, no, I can't. And then I heard the crowd behind me as well were shouting, go take the pen. And I was like, I can't.
Rory?
If you've not scored since you were 12, did you have a plan when you went up for the corner? Did you think, I know what I'm going to do here? Does as someone who's not scored for quite a long time, you wouldn't necessarily be expected to think, right, I know what the run is to make?
No, it's funny because I remember we were watching clips during the week of them, and I think they conceded 2 or 3 goals that are from them crossing positions, and every single one of them went near post, and they were like flick-ons. And I just remembered that, and I said, right, I'm going to run from post. I might be taking someone's job, but I'm just going to go at it. Like,
Josh, thank you very much for coming on. Congratulations again. It's a brilliant goal. It's a brilliant celebration. The draw's taking place for the FA Cup third round, and there's only one place to start, and that's with the huge excitement in Rory's house that Leeds will play Harrogate.
Leeds against Harrogate is the perfect cup draw. It's a shame it's not at Harrogate, but as someone who grew up near Harrogate, it's mad that Harrogate Town are in the third round of the FA Cup. It's only the second time that's happened. But to go to Ellen Road, Betty's will be alive with banter and with rivalry. There'll be it's just going to be, it'll be a rough sort of occasion for Harrogate going to Ellen Road. It's a big tie, that.
That is the one that will bring Betty's alive, you would say?
They'll have to put those metal shutters outside Betty's just because the crowd will be so raucous.
Will Betty's do special Leeds Harrogate third round FA Cup cupcakes or something?
Fat Rascals.
Sorry?
No, I don't think Betty's go in for your novelty Fat Rascals. It's just you just get what you're given at Betty's.
Sorry. Having not
a Fat Rascal?
What is? I mean, I've got several ideas, but I'll let you describe them.
It is a large scone.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Betty's is famous for, Mark.
Yeah, I know. I know what Betty's
specialty.
is famous for, but I've never heard of a Fat Rascal.
It's a big fat scone.
Some of the other ties that came out then: Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City against Salford, Liverpool, Accrington Stanley, Chelsea against Morecambe, Tamworth's reward for knocking out 2 League One sides so far in Huddersfield and Burton. They get Tottenham at home. Newcastle are at home to League Two Bromley. I mean, Tamworth Tottenham's the one, Chris, surely.
Oh, absolutely. Tommy Tonks, his long throw going in against Spurs. People, often view Spurs as quite a fragile team, don't they? And it's not
artificial
conducive.
pitch.
That pitch, not conducive to fast-flowing football. So Spurs are going to have to earn that one.
Anything else for you, Rory?
I mean, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, Salford City is a great tie. It's another one of those. It'd be better if it was the other way around. But for Salford City to go across the Greater Manchester conurbation to play Man City that's a brilliant story. Yeah, and I generally would say that it's a bit of a shame all the elite Premier League teams seem to be at home. It's not ideal but
even the last one with Palace coming out at home to Stockport. Even the last one, you'd rather the other way, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Stockport Palace would be an incredible cup tie, and Stockport will go to Palace hoping Palace make changes, and Stockport kind of can take their chances. You never know, but yeah, the same with Chelsea, Morecambe, Liverpool, Accrington would all be improved by being flipped.
And you were happy with
you? May have upset a fair few there, Rory. You said all the elite Premier League teams drawn.
All right,
Manchester United drawn away, Spurs drawn away.
Apart from those two, but Chelsea are at home, City are at home, Arsenal are at home, Liverpool are at home, Villa are at home, Newcastle are at home. Those are the teams that the teams from League One, League Two, the Conference. They're the home draws you really want. Tamworth Spurs is superb. That's exactly what the FA Cup should be. But you can't have everything. I've got Leeds Harrogate. That's all I need.
The Football Daily Podcast
on BBC Sounds.
Ruben Amorim, hello, welcome to the Football Daily.
People always believe that the next guy is the right guy. We have to play better, to win games, and to be, I think, really honest with the supporters.
When I had this invitation, I felt that I had to do this. Maybe it's destiny.
You have to know a little bit the history of Manchester United. I believe that we are going to succeed. I feel the confidence of people, and that is really important at this stage.
The Football Daily Podcast.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Welcome back to King Power. Half-time here. Leicester City 1, West Ham United 0. You're listening to live Premier League coverage here on 5 Live. And after the conclusion of the Ipswich Crystal Palace game, which is in its closing stages right now at Portman Road, which you can hear on 5 Live, the commentary from this game will be switching over to 5 Live. There, it is Ipswich 0, Crystal Palace 1. Let me just give you some of the score lines from elsewhere in the football this evening, because you've got those big UEFA Women's Championship qualifiers taking place tonight. Scotland have been beaten 2-0 in Finland, so they will not be going to the European Championship next year. Wales in the closing stages are 2-1 up at the Republic of Ireland, so they lead 3-2 on aggregate, so they are very close to go into a major tournament for the first time. There's an international friendly tonight involving England's women. They're 1-0 up against Switzerland at Bramall Lane. In League One tonight, all of these are latest scores, closing stages, round about the last sort of 10 minutes or so of these matches. Bolton 1, Mansfield 1, Charlton 1, Crawley 1, Exeter 2, the leaders Wycombe 2, Leyton Orient 3, Bristol Rovers 0. It's half-time between Rotherham and Lincoln, and it's 1-0 to Rotherham. Stevenage and Northampton is goalless, as is Wrexham Barnsley. It's Huddersfield 1, Wigan 0, and Reading 1, Cambridge 0. In League 2, Wimbledon 2, Newport 1, Bradford 0, Barrow 1, Cheltenham 1, Port Vale 0. Colchester are 4-0 up against Swindon, so Ian Holloway is not really getting the response that Swindon would have hoped at the moment in terms of his recent appointment. Grimsby 5, Accrington 1, MK Dons 2, Chesterfield 0, Salford 2, Harrogate 0, Tranmere and Morecambe is 2-2, and it's Walsall 2, Notts County So West Ham are out in terms of their players, and here come Leicester City's troops leading 1-0 through that Jamie Vardy goal just 2 minutes in, and there is going to be a change for West Ham United at half-time, one that I think we thought might be forthcoming in the first half, Paul Robinson, because Crescencio Somerville, West Ham's number 7, with his black gloves on, he's leaping around on the touchline. He is waiting to be introduced, and confirmation that he is on at half-time for Danny Ings.
Yeah, he was struggling, Danny Ings. You could see he was kind of knocked. They tried to make the substitution earlier on in the first half, but Danny Ings signalled to the bench that he was okay. Got in at half-time, clearly unfit to carry on. Disappointing for him, because he got the nod tonight, started ahead of Antonio, and it's a game where he would have liked to obviously score. Strikers love to score, but really put a marker down and keep his place in the team. Frustrating for him that he's forced off at half-time, but with Somerville coming on, that will give Jared Bowen licence to go and play as the number 9, the false 9 if you like. Kudus on the left and Somerville on the right-hand side.
So away we go then in the second half. Leicester going from left to right towards their cop here at King Power. 1-0 up against West Ham United in Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game in charge of Leicester City, as he runs his hand through his slightly short grey beard, and his goalkeeper Hermansen sending it upfield into West Ham territory, back the other way by Kilman, and then headed clear by Vestergaard. So the teams for you: Hermansen in goal for Leicester, Justin, Vestergaard, Cody and Christensen, Ndidi, Samare, and then Elkanus, Buonanotte, McAteer, and their goal scorer Jamie Vardy. And here is Elkanus, too much on that through ball for McAteer, runs out of play for a West Ham United goal kick. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, just looking how they'd line up. West Ham, interestingly, after Dan Ings has gone off, it is Bowen playing as a 9 down the middle, but Kudus has gone over to the right hand side and some of us playing on this left hand side, and Souček is the one who's playing almost in that number 10 role. You can see the game's really spread, but he's quite obviously playing just in behind Jared Bowen as this second half has started.
So just over a minute into the second half, West Ham free kick for a foul on Kudus, who is nudged in the back. So their team: Fabianski in goal, Sofal, Kilman, Mavropanos and Wan-Bissaka, Alvarez and Soler, and now with Kudus and Somerville on the wings, Souček in the hole, Jared Bowen through the centre. West Ham in their claret and blue, their home strip with the white shorts and the white socks, and Leicester City in all blue. And the ball is returned to the West Ham goalkeeper Lukasz Fabianski, who was beaten just 2 minutes in by that finish from Jamie Vardy to get the Van Nistelrooy era off to the perfect start.
And you credit West Ham, they've defended the goal very, very well, apart from conceding. Since the goal, they're saying that they've just given away possession in the 18-yard box.
Giving it to McAteer, left side of the penalty area, looking for Vardy. Ball in was behind him, gave Alvarez the chance to clear. Christensen strong from that left back position, bombarding forward. His ball is also shy of finding Jamie Vardy, so West Ham can eventually run away with it down that right hand side. Kudus is being forced backwards and indeed gives the ball back to his goalkeeper Fabianski. Leicester 1, West Ham United 0.
Yeah, playing Souček higher up the field in this second half. His team had dominated possession, Lopetegui, in the first half, again saying without really creating that clear-cut chance in the final third, just that final ball, the final pass. But they've started this second half exactly how they finished the first, in full control of possession.
Here's Alvarez just dropping into that pocket of space between the two West Ham centre-backs. Souček on the halfway line. They had a multitude of first half opportunities, West Ham. Some good saves from Mads Hermansen in the Leicester City goal. You must be pretty impressed with him, Paul.
Yeah, it was particularly one low down to his left, a reaction save from Jared Bowen. Really strong hand to turn it behind.
Here's Kudus inside Leicester's penalty area, spinning. He's got his back to goal now. He's been forced out of the box. He's given the ball to Alvarez. It's back with Kudus again. The Ghanaian's cross didn't have the height on it. Headed clear by Samari, who just dipped in to nod it away. Wan-Bissaka getting it back off Crescencio Somerville, the substitute. Here's Wan-Bissaka again. And now Alvarez, 25 yards from goal. In for Kudus, who can't guide his header goal bound. It's quite a way wide of Hermansen's net in the end, and actually the offside flag is up against Mohamed Kudus anyway.
Well, it's that same assistant referee on the far side who put his flag up and disallowed Jamie Vardy's goal that eventually stood. So Kudus does right, he sees the move out. Wan-Bissaka on the left cuts inside, and Alvarez again, lovely dink ball into the centre of the box. Kudus had just strayed offside, but he gets the header all wrong regardless.
I wonder what the message might have been from Ruud van Nistelrooy at half-time, because probably more of the same wouldn't be the answer to what happened in the first half?
I think he would probably want more confidence from his team, more playing on the shoulder, more possession. They were sacrificial in possession. They allowed West Ham a lot more of the ball. Maybe just have more courage and more belief, because they did look like a team devoid of confidence.
Said it hurt him, Ruud van Nistelrooy, to leave Manchester United again, having been let go by Ruben Amorim. I think he probably would have stayed on, Ruud van Nistelrooy, if he'd have had the chance to do so. Here is James Justin on this right-hand side, midway point of West Ham's half for Leicester City, 1-0 up against the Hammers here. And they've got the ball back on the halfway line with Connor Cody, who's been a bit starved of first-team football this season. Justin, on it goes to Buonanotte. Vardy's in the middle, McAteer's in there as well. Buonanotte on this right wing. Justin is the one who eventually delivers it into the box. Oh, the clearance is really bad. Vardy heads wide of the post. That was a moment of great concern in West Ham's defence.
Well, it's an uncharacteristic defensive mistake by Soufal in the right-back area. He's been really good all night. Just takes his eye off the ball, heads it inadvertently back across his own 6-yard box. It's a cross in from the right-hand side. Right back gets himself in a really good position, picks his marker up, heads it back across his goal straight onto the head of Jamie Vardy, who actually wasn't expecting it, gets his header wrong and puts it over the bar. But it could have been a dangerous situation.
Could have been another goal as well for Jamie Vardy tonight as well. It wasn't the easiest one for him to take advantage of, and now West Ham with a bit of room to run at Leicester's defence, and in fact there's not a midfield there, so Alvarez has just steamed through the whole lot of them. Here's Kudus inside the penalty area. Kudus, has that hit the hand of Ndidi? There were plenty of West Ham players who feel that they should have a penalty, waved away by the referee. Off go Leicester down the other end. McAteer feeding it through. Here's Jamie Vardy, nobody up with him at the moment. Vardy in the box, poor pass, a stray of McAteer, and West Ham get the bodies back to retrieve it.
Yeah, that's looking like what Leicester are going to do. They're going to play on the counter-attack, but West Ham are sure that they should have had a penalty down the other end. It was Ndidi who came back. It was a half volley onto the sole of his foot, bounced up and hit his hand. I think VAR have had a look at it, they've cleared it. It was an accidental one, but I think it's one of those that we would have seen a couple of seasons ago given, but not this season with the strict guidelines.
Yeah, no indication from Josh Smith, the referee, that that is being looked at in any great detail by Neil Davis, the VAR. So here is Mavropanos here, halfway inside his own half, the West Ham United defender. We're about to pick up listeners from BBC Radio 5 Live, by the way. Here's Bowen. Thank you very much, Ali. Here, Leicester City leading West Ham United by 1-0, 7 minutes into the second half. Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game in charge of Leicester City tonight. Got off to an absolute stormer with that goal from Jamie Vardy. 2 minutes in, there was a long VAR check to determine whether he was offside or not, because the flag did initially go up against him, but there were great Leicester celebrations once that goal was confirmed. And Leicester, who since then have been under the cosh to West Ham United, have started this second half with a bit more purpose than they played a lot of that first period, as McAteer hauled to the ground, Casey McAteer on the far left-hand side. Leicester free kick then, halfway inside West Ham's half. We're 7.5 minutes into the second half. But before I give you the team news here, let's go straight to Walsall, because there's been a goal in that League 2 game between them and Notts County. Adam Cottier. So Leicester 1, West Ham United 0 here, 8 minutes into the second half at King Power Stadium. Leicester free kick, 5 yards in from the touchline. Buonanotte is over there, so is Bilal Al-Khanous, who's done a lot of great defensive work in this game for Leicester City. It is going to be Buonanotte with his left foot, high in looking for Vestergaard, a couple of West Ham players around him to see the ball away from him. And now off, breaking away down this left-hand side for West Ham with great speed is Wan-Bissaka. Nothing on ahead of him. Backtracking Vestergaard gets his boot in. West Ham throw on the halfway line. Let's say hello to the first time to Paul Robinson.
Well, we've had a great game, haven't we? I think from a West Ham point of view, went behind very, very early to that trademark Jamie Vardy goal. For those of you just joining us, Jamie Vardy playing on the shoulder, played through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, as you would expect, opens himself up, plays it across Fabianski into his bottom left-hand corner. And since that moment, West Ham have just grown in this game. They've dominated possession. They've had some really good chances. Silly as it sounds, Julian Lopetegui will have gone in at half-time and said to his team, more of the same, keep doing what you're doing, just lack that final ball, that little bit of quality in the final final third, but they played really, really well, West Ham, and they're unlucky to be behind.
They're going from right to left, West Ham in this second half. Bowen's got it, right side of the penalty area, skips away from the challenge. Kudus shoots on the edge of the box, deflected. Hermansen had to get his fingertips to it. Turns it over the bar, the Leicester City goalkeeper. West Ham corner, 1-0 Leicester.
Well, we're nearly 20 attempts on goal for West Ham. That shows the dominance that they've had in this game. It's another good save by Hermansen. Kudus this time cutting in from the right hand side on his left foot. Takes a wicked deflection, it's spinning, it's looping, it's heading towards the top corner. It's an awkward one for the goalkeeper, tips it over the bar.
Hermansen, who's made some big saves in this game so far for Leicester City. That was a more routine one for the Dane. Leicester 1-0 up here. West Ham corner from this left-hand side. It's a crowded Leicester City penalty area as well. The short corner from West Ham given to Kudus, back in the West Ham team tonight, and he's got another corner off El Khanous. So let me give you the two teams while we've got a moment. Hermansen in goal for Leicester, Justin Vestergaard, Cody and Christensen in the defence, and Ndidi and Samare, and then El Khanous, Buonanotte, McAteer, and the goal scorer, the captain for Leicester, Jamie Vardy up front. 4 changes for Leicester from the weekend when they were beaten 4-1 at Brentford. Van Nistelrooy watched that game from the stands, not in charge. West Ham corner into the box, cleared away by Vestergaard, out of play to this near left-hand side. It's a West Ham throw.
He's learning very quickly the pressures of a Premier League manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Saw his team go up very early in the game, and since then they've clung on. He would have been looking forward to getting them in at half-time, getting a message onto them, not letting them, allowing them to sit so deep. The experience of Conor Cody and Vestergaard coming into the team tonight. Made a big decision tonight before the game. Wout Faes and Okoli left the 2 centre-backs out, but the experience and the voice and the communication that Vestergaard and Cody have, he'll be looking to that experience as the game goes on. But Leicester are getting deeper and deeper, and West Ham really are dominating the possession in this game.
And here they come again on the left-hand side with Wan-Bissaka, goal scorer for them against Arsenal at the weekend. 2-2 for the West Ham defender. On the edge of the box is Alvarez with the black gloves on, claret and blue West Ham shirts, flooding that Leicester penalty area. Kudus has got it. He's missed the last 5 games for West Ham United, Mohamed Kudus, but he's made an impact tonight. Straight back into the team. Good ball by him. Here's Somerville for West Ham. Somerville tried to square it back across goal. Deflects to the edge of the area. Alvarez thought about shooting. Instead he's giving it to Soler. They've backed off Soler, and Soler's shot takes a deflection and goes behind for another West Ham corner. 1-0 Leicester.
They do look fragile, Leicester. I mean, defensively has been a real problem for them. Only 1 clean sheet here in the last 19 Premier League games, and defensively is where they've struggled. They've conceded at least 3 and 4 of the last 6 games. Something that Ruud van Nistelrooy has to address, because every time they get attacked now, they're getting deeper and they look fragile, they look susceptible.
They've got all their players inside the penalty area. In comes the corner, and it's caught by Hermansen, the Leicester goalkeeper, and that will relieve a little bit of pressure and give the chance for me to tell you the West Ham team, which I appreciate we haven't been able to do yet. Fabianski in goal, Sofal, Kilman, Mavropanos and Wan-Bissaka, Alvarez and Soler, Souček playing as a 10, Bowen now leading the line, Somerville and Kudus either side. Danny Ings did start tonight, first Premier League start of the season. He's gone off injured at half-time. Here's Jared Bowen running into Leicester's penalty area, unattended, eventually cleared away by Ndidi. Out of play, far right-hand side. West Ham are putting it on thick on Leicester at the moment. The Hammers have got a throw.
Yeah, it's a shame for Danny Ings. We mentioned that he went off at half-time. He was struggling in the first half and he was about to be replaced by Crescencio Somerville, but he signalled to the bench that he was okay, but he then wasn't able to make it out for the second half. So there's a slight shape change. Jared Bowen's now playing as a number 9 with Somerville on the left, Kudus on the right, and it's actually Thomas Souček who's in that number 10 role, if you like, and he's the one that's been allowed to join Jared Bowen. And
it's his Czech teammate so far with the throw, flicked on by Souček up into the air from Somerville. Awkward for Hermansen. Oh, the ball's dropped in, but the goalkeeper has been let off the hook by the sound of the referee's whistle. West Ham peeling away, thinking they're going to celebrate a goal, and referee Josh Smith has decided there was a foul on Mads Hermansen inside his own 6-yard box, and has given Leicester a reprieve. What do you make of that, Paul Robinson?
Well, we're going to have a VAR check now, because at first glance I'm not so sure how many of the West Ham players were actually in and around the goalkeeper. It's Souček, I think, or Soufal on the far post, puts his back into the goalkeeper. I mean, listen, I said to many a times that my goalkeeper's union card's been revoked in lieu of honesty. This is soft. Souček backs off and Hermansen completely misses his punch. It's a very quick VAR check that's backed the referee, but I'm not so sure if that goal was given that would have been overturned. That looked a really soft one for the goalkeeper. He's been let off the hook.
You can hear the discontent as well coming from the West Ham United fans. So that goal does not count, but that is worth watching on Match of the day later this week. Here come the Leicester City changes then. We're going to see Patson Daka and Wout Vass coming on here for Leicester. Wout Vass, who prior to tonight have played every Premier League minute so far this season, left out by Ruud van Nistelrooy this evening. Yannick Vestergaard is one of the two Leicester players that is being substituted, so he's coming off for Vass. I don't know who's coming off for Patson Daka at the moment. It's Jamie Vardy, so off comes the goal scorer.
Yeah, like for like, two like for like changes there. I think Ruud van Nistelrooy just cautious and aware of the lack of football that Vestergaard's played in recent weeks. So Wout Vass gets a chance, and you can hear the ovation that Jamie Vardy, the goal scorer, is getting.
Well, might it be that Jamie Vardy, the man who of course broke Ruud van Nistelrooy's consecutive goal scoring record 9 years ago, almost to the day, when he scored in 11 consecutive Premier League games, might he be the match winner tonight? A little embrace with Ruud van Nistelrooy. I'm sure a great deal of respect from two great strikers of the Premier League era. And here is Buonanotte in the middle of the park for Leicester, lifting one out to the left-hand side. McAteer running into the penalty area. El Khanous coming onto it. It's 2-0 Leicester. Bilal El Khanous slides it low into the bottom right-hand corner. Fabianski can't get close to it, and Ruud van Nistelrooy punches the air in delight because his first game as Leicester City manager is going swimmingly on the hour. It's Leicester 2, West Ham 0.
Absolute smash and grab by the home team. They've not really had possession, but this time it's Buonanotte. He plays a fantastic ball through over the top to El Khanous. McAteer on the left-hand side, and that's what Leicester have looked for all night. They've played on the shoulder, they've played on the counter-attack. They've not necessarily had that much possession. The substitutes come on. It's Wan-Bissaka who loses the ball. It's the middle of the park to Buonanotte, and he plays a lovely ball out to this left-hand side to McAteer. They will check to see if there's a VAR offside on McAteer, but in turn he cuts into the box, rolls it square to El Khanous, finds the bottom right-hand corner of Fabianski's goal. He's had nothing to do tonight, Lucas Fabianski, apart from pick the ball out of his net twice, and that's prompted Lopetegui into three substitutes.
Julian Lopetegui, who when Bilal El Khanous popped that ball into the back of the net for what, by the way, is his first Premier League goal, dropped to his knees in disappointment. Julian Lopetegui, who is under a fair bit of pressure right now, the West Ham manager.
More disbelief, I think, because of the possession, the way that his team have controlled this game. Since going behind on 4 minutes, West Ham have controlled this game. And again, like I say, smash and grab, they've gone 2 down.
Right, triple West Ham change, details on that in a moment, but first let's go to Walsall Notts County. Another goal, Adam Cottier.
We're in the final minute of added time. Notts County have another one back. It's 3-2. Jack Hinchy with a brilliant low drive from outside the box. Walsall living dangerously here as they look to go top of League 2 tonight. Walsall 3, Notts County 2.
And straight to Bramall Lane. There's a women's international friendly taking place tonight. England-Switzerland. It's all over. Betty Glover.
At full time, England 1, Switzerland 0. This was a game of two halves. England's youngsters dominated the first. Grace Clinton opened the scoring after 8 minutes. She looked superb. The second half, though, Switzerland caused problems. Hampton had to produce some big saves. Switzerland also had a penalty shout just before the full-time whistle. Referees said no. England got the job done just. England 1, Switzerland 0.
Leicester 2, West Ham 0 here. Straight to Wrexham Barnsley. Sarah Mulkerins.
In the third minute of stoppage time, Wrexham have broken the deadlock. They lead 1-0 against Barnsley. Ollie Rathbone cutting through midfield, running clear and fired it low and home. It's Wrexham 1, Barnsley 0.
And Paul Scott, you've got a late goal in League 2 as well. Details on that in just a moment. West Ham have got the ball on the edge of Leicester's penalty area. Wan-Bissaka taking it to the byline, clipping it in. Ndidi heading it away. Leicester is still feeling the heat here. They've got a 2-0 lead though. Back in by Somerville, and the header is over the top of the bar from Paquetá. So let's quickly go and get details of that goal at Cheltenham Port Vale. Paul Scott.
Cheltenham 1, Port Vale 1. The last kick of the game from Ronan Curtis, drilling it in from the underside of the bar. We were allocated 3 minutes of stoppage time. The goal came in the 94th minute. It's finished Cheltenham 1, Port Vale 1. Vale stay top of League 2.
Thanks very much, Paul. 19 minutes into the second half here. Leicester leading West Ham United by 2-0. Paul Robinson.
And the offensive substitutions that Lopetegui's been forced into making. We've seen Antonio come on, Paqueta come on, Emerson come on, Souček, Soler and Koufal have all left the field. A lot more attacking looking West Ham, and as you said, Lopetegui fell to his knees. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. His team have really dominated this game, and they've just been hit on the break. An absolute smash and grab by Leicester, who have now, as we're entering the 65th minute in this game, got something to hold on to.
Jamie Vardy and Bilal Al-Khanous with the goals as West Ham work their way down the right hand side, intercepted by Christensen, and it's back on the halfway line with Mavropanos, who almost ran into Patson Daka there, and that would have been a problem because Daka would have been away, but instead West Ham have kept the ball. Emerson with the short sleeve shirt and the gloves off this left hand side. Paquetá sliding into the box. Somerville, here's Emerson, he's gone down, and the referee says that's not a penalty. Indicates it's going to be a goal kick. So let's go to Exeter. Wickham, it's all over with you, John Akers.
It is, and Wickham missed the chance to go clear at the top of League One, further clear I should say, and also missed the chance to equal a record which has stood for almost 50 years of 12 wins in a row. Drawn 2-2, Exeter with 2-0 up. They fought back brilliantly and could have won it with Lowe and Humphreys. Wickham finishes Exeter 2, Wickham 2.
Thanks very much, John. 25 minutes to play here in this Premier League game. Already tonight, Ipswich 0, Crystal Palace 1. You heard that earlier this evening with Ali Bruce Ball and Mark Schwarzer at Portman Road. Jean-Philippe Mateta with the goal, so that keeps Ipswich bang in danger. And remember, a full week of Premier League fixtures, and we've got them all live on 5 Live Sports Extra, via BBC Sounds and on the BBC Sport website this week as well. As Kilman, under some pressure from Daka, the West Ham defender, didn't like it, has to put it behind. Leicester City corner.
Patson Daka, good pressure there. Come on in place of Jamie Vardy. He's been told by Ruud van Nistelrooy, lead that line, close down. Look, there's 25 minutes to go, normal time plus added time. You're going to chase lost causes, you're going to do a lot of running without the ball, but go and put a shift in for your team, and that's exactly what he just did there, Daka, and won his team a corner.
So Leicester, who began the evening a point and 2 places above the relegation zone, with a 2-0 lead here against West Ham, who, remember, got smashed by Arsenal at the weekend, 5-2. Al-Khanous with the cross. Oh, what a save, Fabianski. Brilliant stop. Indeed, his header was flying towards goal, and the Pole, even at 39 years old, still offers the flexibility to get up and turn it away.
That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant by Lucas Fabianski. It's just reactions. Those are saves that goalkeepers work on every single day in training. You'll save 100, 200 of those every single day, and it's worth it when you pull off a save like that. It's a great header from close range, 6 yards out, up to the goalkeeper's right, puts his right arm up, and the rest is instinct. Brilliant save by Fabianski.
That might have been the game had Leicester scored that one. It is still Leicester 2, West Ham 0. Here comes the short Leicester corner to the edge of the penalty area. Al-Khanous back in by Buonanotte. That wasn't a great delivery from the Brighton loanee. And now West Ham try and catch Leicester on the counter-attack. Al-Khanous is deemed to have not fouled Crescencio Somerville, who was hoping they was going to get a free kick there, but the decision's gone against him.
Yeah, he thought he was had a free kick, so did his manager, Julian Lopetegui, who's getting more and more animated, I would say, in his technical area, but the fourth official, Darren Bond, he's got his work cut out. Lopetegui's putting in about as many yards as his players are tonight up and down that touchline, nowhere near his technical area.
Leicester 2, West Ham 0, all over with you, Adam Cottier at Walsall, Notts County.
Walsall 3, Notts County 2. Walsall stay second, but they're just a point behind Port Vale, who they play on Saturday. They had just 24% of the possession, but goals from Lowe, Hall and a direct corner from Allen made it 3-2 in the second half, despite Notts County pulling it back twice. Walsall 3, Notts County 2.
And here with West Ham 2-0 down, they've just had another chance to Mohamed Kudus, which has been blocked. Here they are again though, Bowen's in the box, looking for Somerville, it's stopped on the line. Tremendous defending, just about getting enough on that. Was it Connor Cody back there making sure, as that ball was trickling towards goal from Somerville, that West Ham do not have a passage, they do not have an opening back into this game.
It's leading a charmed life, that Leicester City goal. This time it's Crescencio Somerville. Connor Cody is falling back into his own net. Wait till you see this one tonight. He's falling back, he keeps it out with his right toenail. The ball's almost over the line. It's one of those where half the ball's in. It's an incredible clearance by Connor Cody. His back's touching the back of the net and his toe just keeps it out.
Julian Lopetegui, arms outstretched either side of him, looking perplexed at how the West Ham.
He's down again. He's on his knees.
Yeah,
he's on his knees again. He can't believe what he's seeing.
He's got the Bielsa going on in full pelts tonight, Julian Lopetegui, and he's just been denied a goal by the player, of course, that he ultimately decided to let go from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Their former captain Conor Cody. Leicester 2, West Ham 0. 21 minutes to go at King Power Stadium.
Well, he started last week, Conor Cody. He started again tonight. It looks like we're going to lose him on 5 Live for a couple of weeks now. He's playing again. He's done excellently well tonight. Him and Vestergaard, they're a really good partnership. But you can see his communication and his leadership out there.
Leicester, who Paul mentioned, so short of clean sheets in Premier League games. The only one they've got this season against Bournemouth here, when they beat them by 1-0, and their goal led a pretty charmed life on that particular occasion as well. They're still up against it. Here's Kudus, cross from the right hand side, turned behind by McAteer, Casey McAteer, one of the 4 players that have come into this Leicester team tonight. West Ham corner, going from right to left in this second half, trailing by 2-0.
I think it's a certain time in the game now where Leicester, they are going to come under pressure. They have done for a lot of the game, but it's about defensive stability now for them. Referee's just stopped the game. He spotted an infringement in the box, held the corner up. He's just going to talk to some of the players who's marking the goalkeeper. But this is a harsh learning curve for Ruud van Nistelrooy this early on in his managerial career, with 20 minutes of normal time left to play here. How does he approach this? Does he put substitutes on to shore it up and to try and win the game, to get them through? But they've always got that threat on the break with the pace they've got in this team.
So eventually we're going to see this West Ham corner. It's in front of their section of supporters from that right hand side, deep towards the far post, and Didi there again, heading it behind. It's another West Ham United corner. We'll be going over to Wrexham very shortly to get details of their game against Barnsley, but we'll just see this West Ham corner first, because they are piling the pressure on here against Leicester City in Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game in charge of the Foxes. Emerson, left-footed corner, the header from Mavropanos, it flew to the far post. Antonio got his head on it as well, but it's wayward, it's wide, so off we go to Wrexham. Sarah Mulcairn's full time.
It's ended Wrexham 1, Barnsley 0. The second placed hosts eventually got the win. They had to wait until stoppage time. Barnsley were better in the first half, Wrexham on top in the second. Not much quality on offer until Ollie Rathbone cut free in midfield and fired home the winner. So Wrexham stay in the automatic spots, Barnsley down to 8th. It's ended 1-0.
Cheers, Sarah, thank you very much. I'll run through all the scores for you in League 1 and League 2 tonight. Not quite a full fixture list, but not far short of it this evening. Here's McAteer running through for Leicester. Could this be 3-0? Oh, he scuffed his effort over the top of the crossbar from Casey McAteer. Didn't quite set himself right, did he? And it's still Leicester 2, West Ham 0.
Well, it's the same ball that Leicester have used the whole evening. Attacking players playing on the shoulder. Hasn't even looked up, he just helps it on. It's El Khanous this time. Helps it on over his left-hand shoulder, in behind Wan-Bissaka. Casey McAteer on his left foot, makes a real mess of it. He knows he's got a good opportunity. He's inside the 18-yard box. Clear strike on goal, just makes a mess of his strike.
Leicester are making a couple of changes here. Bobby D. Cordova-Reid and Steffi Mavrodidi are coming on, so let me give you the scores from elsewhere tonight while these changes are taking place for Leicester. In League 1, all of these are full times. Bolton 3, Mansfield 1, Charlton 1, Crawley 2, Exeter 2, Wycombe 2, as you've been hearing with John. Leyton Orient 3, Bristol Rovers 0. They're still playing between Rotherham and Lincoln. There's about 15 minutes to go in that one. It's 1 apiece. Stevenage have beaten Northampton 2-0. Wrexham, as you were just hearing with Sarah, 1-0 winners over Barnsley. Huddersfield Wigan, closing stages. Huddersfield 1-0 up there. And Reading, with a couple of minutes to go at their home, are 3-0 up against Cambridge United.
Yeah, he's about to make 2 more changes here, Ruud van Nistelrooy. He's just waiting. I think it's Casey McAteer who's down in the middle of the pitch. De Cordova-Reid who's going to come on. And Mavrodidi. Looks like it's going to be Casey McAteer and Buonanotte. Going to change it up. Fresh legs on the pitch. I've had some good pace on the counter-attack tonight, Leicester. Said that West Ham have done well. It's actually El Khanous who's down in the middle of the pitch, so that may change his mind here, Ruud van Nistelrooy. It's down actually as Casey McAteer, but he may change. So we'll wait and see on that. But Leicester playing on the counter-attack with the pace that they've got in this team. He brought the experience of Cody and Vestergaard back in, but he brought the youngsters, El Khanous and McAteer, in behind Vardy. So Vardy occupies those defenders. Vardy's gone off, Daka's come on now. He's doing the same job as Jamie Vardy did. But they've got pace, they've got youthful exuberance that will run in behind, and they've really looked to danger on the counter-attack. And that's a danger for West Ham, as the longer this game goes, West Ham will dominate, they will have the chances, but on the counter-attack, Leicester still pose that threat.
It's Getting a great reception, Leicester City's goal scorer, Bilal Al-Khanous. A goal in this second half to go with the one in the first half from Jamie Vardy. A big hug with his new manager Ruud van Nistelrooy as well as he departs the pitch. The Moroccan international has been one of the standout players in this Leicester performance.
He's
tonight.
been excellent, yeah, he really has been excellent. El-Khanous got his goal there just before he came off and he was unable to continue, so Buonanotte looks like he's still on the field.
So Leicester 2, West Ham 0 in League 2 tonight. AFC Wimbledon 2, Newport 2. These are all full times. Bradford 1, Barrow 1, Cheltenham 1, Port Vale 1 in one of our feature games this evening. Colchester 4-0 winners against Swindon. So Ian Holloway's team is still banging trouble down at the bottom of that League 2 table. Grimsby 5, Accrington 2, MK Dons 3, Chesterfield 0, Salford 2, Harrogate 0, Tranmere and Morecambe finished 2-2, and Walsall 3-2 winners over Notts County this evening in another belting game at the Bescot. But this doesn't feel, Paul Robinson, like it's completely over yet, as out comes Hermansen, the Leicester City goalkeeper, and plucks the ball off the head of Max Kilman, who'd worked his way forward.
It's one of those type of games where you're in the stadium, and obviously Leicester have done extremely well. They're playing probably some of the best football they've seen for a number of weeks. They're in a really good position, but actually nobody trusts them inside the stadium. You can feel there's an air of uncertainty. You just feel that if West Ham do get one, the second will follow it, because the susceptibility that Leicester have defensively, and you can hear the moans and groans as a turnover of possession again.
Yep, they've lost the ball on the halfway line here, Leicester, and West Ham working it to this left hand side for Antonio, curls his cross in, Connor Cody all on his own to head it away, and then Daka scythed down by Edson Alvarez, who receives the most obvious yellow card I think you'll see all of these midweek Premier League fixtures.
Clever by Patson Daka, really clever. That's why he's on the pitch. He's not going to get many goal scoring opportunities between now and the end of the game. Come on to replace Jamie Vardy, but when his team turn over possession like that, he gets in front of Alvarez, heads forward, gets in behind the West Ham midfielder, and he has no option but to bring him down. Wins his team a free kick, which the goalkeeper's going to take just outside the centre circle. Gives his team chance to regroup, get themselves up the pitch and pump the ball forward.
Been sent off twice this season already, Edson Alvarez, for West Ham United. A yellow card for him tonight. Leicester 2, West Ham 0, 14 minutes to go. Is this going to be Ruud van Nistelrooy's dream start as Leicester City manager? Mavadidi on the edge of the penalty area, left hand side for Leicester, into the box for Daka, tries to get it back for Mavadidi again, hooked away by West Ham up towards Antonio, whose first touch was a little scrappy. And then did he give away a free kick? No, says the referee. De Cordova-Reid was the one who ended up on the deck. So West Ham continue with the throw from the left-hand side and work it from their back line.
Yeah, they're making some more changes below as West Ham. Activity on the bench. But you can hear the Leicester City supporters trying to encourage the team, trying to get them back into this game, to get them over the line.
Here's De Cordova-Reid into the penalty area, and Daka, and plunging on it, Fabianski, the West Ham goalkeeper, at his feet. But that all came about through a scrappy West Ham clearance.
Yeah, sloppy in possession at the back. Give away the ball, lost possession, created their own problems, Mavropanos and Kilman.
We are about to see the return to this West Ham team of Nicholas Füllkrug, the German, who's back on the substitutes bench for West Ham this evening. Not before this Hammers attack though. They're 2-0 down against Leicester. Somerville down the left hand side. Here's Kudus tumbling to the ground, no free kick given, and off go Leicester to try and break away, but Buonanotte's pass is poor. Not even close really to finding James Justin, and West Ham retrieve it again.
You can hear the frustrations, can't you, in the stadium? We've all been there supporting our own team. 2-0 up with 15 minutes or so to go. You just want your team to get over the line. Any kind of possession that's surrendered, lost ball, you can hear that both sets of supporters trying to encourage their team.
He's been relatively serene, Ruud van Nistelrooy, the Leicester City manager, on that touchline tonight, but you just sense that the body language now is one more of agitation.
I suspect it's not quite serene underneath that big long black coat that he's wearing.
He's got the gilet on underneath as well on a chilly night at King Power Stadium. Good running this from West Ham, looking for Bowen inside the box, whose shot is blocked, and actually it bounced off a Leicester player and I think went back out of play off Bowen, so the decision is goal kick.
Yeah, the change is just about to happen below us now, and it's Mohamed Kudus who's going off.
What have you made of his return to the West Ham team tonight? Because they've been out without him for 5 games because of suspension.
Missed him for 5 games, managed to keep himself fit, playing at international level, went away at international break, played, so he did have some match fitness in him. I thought he looked sharp, I thought his ball retention was good, looked going forward, always looked a threat. playing on the right hand side, cutting inside, caused problems. But just like any West Ham player tonight, just lacked that in the final third, that cutting edge, that decision, the quality. I think, you look at the possession stats, you look at the stats, the attempts on goal that West Ham have had tonight. There's no wonder that Lopetegui stood there in his technical area scratching his head. The amount of attacking players that he's got on the field now chasing this game.
Paul Robinson, who played in the Premier League with Leeds, with Tottenham, with Blackburn Rovers, part of our commentary team this evening. Leicester 2, West Ham United 0, and the Leicester fans are taking great pleasure in starting a chant of "you're getting sacked in the morning," which is in the direction of West Ham manager Julian Lopetegui, who has been under a fair bit of pressure. Certainly lots of newspaper reports in recent weeks consistently suggesting that West Ham's hierarchy are lining up potential replacements for him, even in these early days as a manager. Leicester attacking West Ham's penalty area here from the left-hand side. Mavadidi's pullback, Buonanotte tumbling, he went down in stages. He wants the penalty, that's waved away. Ball won back by Wout Vass just inside West Ham's half. They've got it again on this left-hand side with Mavadidi of Leicester, and his cross is blocked by Alvarez, who then takes it off Wan-Bissaka, and eventually West Ham able to play their way out and move forward with Bowen down the right-hand side.
Yeah, he's not getting that penalty. Buonanotte went looking for it, he went down in instalments.
Bowen steaming forward, he's gone past one already, can't get past Ndidi though, who stood his ground well, did the Nigerian. And there are some Leicester players who are looking like fatigue is kicking in, but for others pure adrenaline is active as Buonanotte is slipped in. Has the flag gone up yet? It hasn't. Buonanotte up against Kilman inside the penalty area. The layoff, the save from Fabianski, the loose ball put in by De Cordova-Reid. Leicester City 3, West Ham United 0. This is dream territory for Ruud van Nistelrooy. Even last night he couldn't have wished surely for such a comprehensive scoreline as this. His Leicester City campaign is starting brilliantly. De Cordova-Reid with the third. Leicester 3, West Ham 0.
Well, somebody needs to tell Ruud van Nistelrooy that this is dreamland, because by his face you wouldn't suggest that. He's absolutely deadpan on the touchline, but his team have just hit West Ham on the break yet again. It's a quick movement back to front. West Ham are committed, they're chasing this game, but it's too easy. The ball in behind, it's a fantastic ball in behind. West Ham really high up the pitch, bodies committed forward. Fabianski makes a decent save. It's Buonanotte, pulls it back to Daka, opens himself up. Fabianski tries to hold on to it. He knows he wants to try and get his team back playing again, and in that, trying to hold on to it, he just drops the ball at his feet. De Cordova-Reid, who's just come on, surely now puts Leicester City and Ruud van Nistelrooy out of sight for his first win.
And that is two Leicester players who have scored their first goals for the club tonight in the Premier League, Bilal Al-Khanous and Bobby De Cordova-Reid. However, there is a VAR check for this goal, and it is going to determine whether Facundo Buonanotte was offside when that initial ball came forward from Victor Christensen.
It's tight. It's like the Jamie Vardy one. Told you about the Jamie Vardy goal, the first goal. It's that run that we see so many times from Jamie Vardy. You can picture it on the shoulder of the last defender. Ball slipped down the side in the channel, and I think it's Mavropanos again or Kilman. He's in between both of them, Buonanotte. The ball's played by Christensen. It's inch perfect. It's just whether or not Buonanotte's timed his run inch perfectly. Again, we're getting a lengthy VAR check, which tells you it's close.
Yeah, and it really is tight as well. Very, very similar to the Jamie Vardy one in terms of the margins.
Well, the thing is, the players don't often get it wrong on the pitch, and everybody's geared up to take the kickoff. So the players on the pitch feel that he was onside. They aren't getting to see these pictures that we're seeing. They're getting rolled backwards and forwards. This is really tight. And this goal, as daft as it sounds on 83 minutes, is absolutely pivotal, because as we said, if West Ham get one, you feel they might get the second, whereas this wins Leicester the game.
Haven't lost back-to-back Premier League games all season, West Ham United, and we are seeing on the small screen in front of us a red line which is going to indicate that this goal is not going to stand for Bobby De Cordova-Reid.
There, you're going to hear some boos in the stadium soon. The referee's just about to blow his whistle.
So there is the confirmation from Josh Smith, tonight's referee, only his 8th Premier League game in charge, that the Bobby De Cordova-Reid goal is cancelled off.
It was close. It was really close. And the camera pans in on Ruud van Nistelrooy again, whose expression hasn't changed for most of the evening.
In his first game in charge of Leicester tonight, met the squad on Sunday for the first time, was so calm and collected and warm and surprisingly open in his press conference yesterday, the Dutchman.
Thought he spoke really well. Thought he spoke about the way that he spoke to Enzo Maresca, embraced what he'd done, said he wanted to bring back some of that type of play to the King Power. Listen, it's going to take time, isn't it? You know, managers rarely get jobs when teams are going well, unless you take the Liverpool manager's job.
In it comes from Antonio, a throw from the left-hand side. The overhead kick from Mavropanos, that was ambitious, and that's wide of Hermansen's post for a Leicester goal kick. 2-0 up.
Yeah, it's about game management now for this Leicester side. They've obviously got the pace on the counter-attack, as we've just seen, but it's so vitally important that the leaders at the back, about fast, Connor Cody, Christiansen, the voices, the leaders, they get them over the line, which is something that they haven't had this season.
And remember, all of this off the back of what was Leicester's joint biggest defeat of their Premier League season so far at the weekend. Beaten 4-1 at Brentford with Ruud van Nistelrooy up in the stand. Ben Dawson, one of the Leicester coaches, taking charge of proceedings.
I think it was the manner of the defeat as well, Chris. I think it was not just the scoreline, but the actual performance that was the worrying thing. A lot of people watched that and thought, oh, he's got a big job here, Ruud van Nistelrooy. But actually, in the very short time that he's been, I think he spoke well, he's equipped himself extremely well. And what his team have given him thus far this evening, I'm sure he'll be delighted with. There'll be certain areas that he wants to work on, but I think the biggest thing for him and his team, if they can keep a clean sheet to now and the end of the game, I bet he refers to that in his post-match interviews.
It will have Leicester City, by the way, and obviously we have a full week of Premier League fixtures, all the games live on 5 Live across the next couple of days. Sports Extra via the BBC Sport website. Leicester will be 4 points above the relegation zone as Buonanotte tries to push one through West Ham's defence. Cleaned up by Kilman. Emerson under a bit of pressure. He's lost it in the left-back area. The ball runs through legs of Buonanotte, though. And West Ham get it up towards Antonio on the halfway line. And he gets West Ham a throw on this left-hand side. But time is running away from them here in the East Midlands. 4.5 minutes to go. Leicester 2, West Ham 0.
Becoming really stretched and expansive. The gap between back 4 and front 2 or front players is becoming more and more spaces for West Ham to try and exploit.
Altbas stepping in to win the ball back for Leicester, but it's a scrappy pass from him. Julian Lopetegui is making all sorts of signals down on the touchline, the West Ham coach. He's acting as if he's directing planes in to East Midlands Airport down there. Paquetá's cross, left-footed, deep towards that far post of West Ham, over the head of Fulkrug. Back in it comes again, Samari getting a boot on it, and then the half volley away from the Leicester midfielder up to the halfway line. Kilman, the former Wolves man, wins the header, and Alvarez retrieving and settling things down for West Ham again.
We're at the stage of the game now where anywhere will do for Leicester City. They've got the back 4, the midfield 5 in front. Quite happy to let West Ham have possession, comfortable possession in the middle third of the field, but then they're trying to close down, shut the gaps and win possession back, just like they've done now.
Somerville losing the ball under pressure from Buonanotte. Daka trying to set Mavididi off and running down the left-hand side, and then he has a challenge with Wan-Bissaka, which bounces off Steffi Mavididi, or Patson Daka I should say, and out for a West Ham throw just inside their own half on the right. I was about to say Ruud van Nistelrooy smiling. He's not smiling though, is he? He's almost grimacing.
It looks like he's chewing his bottom lip to me. Welcome to Premier League management and the pressures of it, Ruud. But listen, he'll be delighted with what his team have given him if it stays this way tonight. Couldn't have asked for a better start. 4 minutes, 1-0 up with Jamie Vardy. And you can see at times they've struggled. But like I said, managers don't get jobs when teams are doing well. And in the first game, 2 or 3 days in charge, not a lot of time on the training ground. The difference between Leicester at Brentford and tonight is day and night. They're huge. You can see a vast difference. You can call it a new manager bounce, call it what you like. They look structured, they look organised, they look defensively a lot tougher to break down. They've looked susceptible. They're a team that are devoid of confidence. They've kept 1 clean sheet in 19 games here at home in the Premier League. You can understand that. You can understand the susceptibility and the way that they're lacking confidence. But actually, they've looked so much better in the short time since last week against Brentford.
But a West Ham goal will really test just how fragile this Leicester defence might be. Here's Antonio, 40 yards from goal. Somerville, centre of the park. Ball out to the left-hand side, was a bit behind Emerson, so he had to recalibrate slightly, the Italian. He's giving it to Kilman, and this is Alvarez. And just outside Leicester's penalty area, the cross comes in from Paquetá, cleared away by James Justin.
Yeah, clearing for touch. So you can hear the Leicester supporters trying to get behind the team now. Kilman on this side just taking the ball off one of those white cones. Everybody camped in Leicester City's half.
Lost 5 of their last 6 in all competitions, Leicester, and of course Ruud van Nistelrooy subjected them to 2 of those losses during his interim spell with Manchester United, as an overcooked pass from Wan-Bissaka trickles away from Jarrod Bowen, a shake at the head from Julian Lopetegui. West Ham only a couple of minutes away plus stoppage time from suffering their second Premier League defeat in the space of a few days.
And I think it's harsh, in all honesty, when you look at the match as a whole. Yes, Leicester are looking like they're winning this at the moment. They're 2-0 up, but the way that Lopetegui and his West Ham team have played, the way that they've set up, they had some really good passages of play and dominated most of this game. They played really well up at Newcastle, got dismantled against Arsenal at the weekend, but again here I've seen a decent performance from a good looking West Ham side who are themselves, they're so inconsistent.
Leicester 2, West Ham United 0. Earlier on, Ipswich 0, Crystal Palace 1, so that keeps Ipswich in real danger down at the bottom of the Premier League table, but a significant win for Oliver Glasner's team, because they too were in a fair bit of danger coming into the game tonight. Christensen chasing a ball into the left back area for Leicester to keep possession. Here is Wout Vass, and back with Christensen again, who sends a high ball forward. Daka's touch takes him away from Kilman, and he's pretty quick, Patson Daka. Is Kilman going to get back there? Daka shoots left footed. It's 3-0 Leicester. Super finish, Patson Daka, high into the net, and Ruud van Nistelrooy can celebrate success now. A great big air punch from the Dutchman. He knows that this has worked out exactly the way he wanted it to tonight. Daka off the bench, devastating finish. Leicester home and hosed. Lopetegui looks beaten on the West Ham bench. Leicester 3, West Ham 0.
Now he's smiling, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Now he's out of his technical area, arms aloft, celebrating a goal like he used to do when he scored. Patson Daka nicks in front of Max Kilman. He's still got so much to do. He's running almost from the halfway line. It's just a turnover of possession. Leicester get the ball forward, and Daka, told you, runs tirelessly, gets a toe end on it. He's still got so much to do. He's in the left channel. Max Kilman does well, gets back in. You think he's stood him up, doesn't get close enough. Patson Daka lets fly with his left foot high into Fabianski's top right hand corner, seals a 3-0 win for Ruud van Nistelrooy in his first home game. He's absolutely delighted, the Dutchman beneath us. Surely that's the game for Leicester.
Great joy on the face of Van Nistelrooy. Leicester 3, West Ham 0, and we are now in stoppage time. But Leicester know that this is the way that they wanted the Van Nistelrooy era to begin.
Absolutely brilliant start for Ruud van Nistelrooy. They've not been at the best. I mean, what is the best this season? We've not seen Leicester probably at the best. But actually, I keep saying it, but the difference between this performance and the Brentford performance, at Brentford they looked devoid of ideas. They looked like a team who was shot. They were shattered. They were defensively so susceptible. Every time Brentford attacked, they looked like they were going to score. This Leicester team looked like they've had some belief put into them. It's a completely different performance. He couldn't have wished for a better start. Yes, they didn't have possession at all times tonight. Yes, probably West Ham were the better team, as silly as that sounds, at 3-0 to Leicester. But was that his game plan? Is that the way he's set up? You can see the confidence now that's breeding into this Leicester side. And these Leicester fans that are still inside the King Power, they'll be hoping that this is the start of something new under Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, and for the first time tonight, I can see some big blue and white flags being waved during the game in the Kop stand over towards our right hand side, where some of the more vociferous Leicester City supporters are. Leicester 3, West Ham 0. We are in 9 minutes of stoppage time. We've played 2 of them. Leicester 3, West Ham 0. This is the perfect night for Ruud van Nistelrooy as West Ham win a corner off Christensen after good work from Antonio.
The perfect night for Ruud van Nistelrooy will be if his team can see out the remainder of this added time and keep a clean sheet. Defensively they've been poor this season, Leicester, but actually as a unit tonight I really think the voice of Conor Cody and Vestergaard, at times they've sat a little bit deep, but that's the way that those two play. They're not going to play a high line because they'll get caught, especially against the players they're playing against.
West Ham corner, Bowen into that near post, Somerville's flick on, it's in. West Ham have got one back. Somerville got a touch on it. I don't know if it might have breezed in off Fulkrug on its way in too. If it did, that's his first goal for West Ham United. And with plenty of minutes of stoppage time, maybe West Ham aren't done.
Well, if that's not the commentator's curse on keeping a clean sheet, I don't know what it is. Sorry, Leicester City fans. It's a decent corner by Jarrod Bowen, flicked on at the near post by Crescencio Somerville, and it's Fulkrug. Comes off the bench tonight, Nicholas Fulkrug gets in front of Conor Cody. glances his team what seems like a consolation. Really well worked corner, actually. Near post from Jared Bowen, flicked on by Crescencio Somerville, and Fulkrug just glances it into what was an empty net.
Well, only about 50% full now, that West Ham away end, so some of those West Ham fans who were here tonight have not seen Nicholas Fulkrug's first goal for the club. It looks like it's only going to be a consolation, that one from the German, the signing from Dortmund in the summer. One of the main faces, really, of the European Championship that has just gone by in his home country. But is that going to liven West Ham up a bit? Is that going to make Leicester a little nervous?
Well, I think with 4 minutes to go, I think you said about the West Ham fans that have already left, there's not many of them rushing back in, put it that way.
It's a big ask, isn't it, for West Ham to go and find 2 more goals. 4 minutes of stoppage time played of the 9. Leicester 3, West Ham 1. The goal scorers tonight: Vardy 2 minutes in, El Kounnous and Patson Daka in this second half for Leicester. The one back just a moment ago from Fulkrug. But it seems that Leicester are going to move on to 13 Premier League points. And also, by the way, and this is just a footnote, it's going to be their 500th top-flight win as a football club this evening.
That's a nice landmark for Ruud van Nistelrooy in his first game. I'm sure it's not something that he will have looked at. He'll be looking at the performance of his team and individuals, the changes that he made tonight, and he'll reflect on what's looking like it could be a good night's work, although we have still time.
Yeah, and here comes Jared Bowen for West Ham. Jared Bowen into the box, Somerville there, real scramble, Alvarez can't get it out of his feet. Wow, Bass manages to clear.
There's a Leicester fan round us, you can just hear him through the headphones. Please, please, please. They just want the ball away, they want it out the box. They're desperate to hold on to this victory.
This game is so open now, deep in stoppage time. Jordan Ayew coming forward down the right hand side. He came on as a substitute off the back of that Leicester third goal. James Justin's delivered cross calmly away. Wan-Bissaka, what's left in the legs for him to carry the ball forward. Leicester 3, West Ham 1, but still, we've still got 3 minutes to go, and another West Ham goal would certainly make it a crazy finish, but that ball is not going to be kept in by Jared Bowen. Wan-Bissaka asking too much of Jared Bowen, and it's a goal kick.
No, it was poor. It was really poor by Wan-Bissaka. I mean, he's ran a quarter of the length of the pitch, and all he's got to do is slide it into Jared Bowen. He overhits it, and it runs out harmlessly for a goal kick, which I'm sure that Mads Hermansen will take great pride in taking as much time as he possibly can as we tick into the 97th minute.
The clean sheet has gone for Leicester. That's the only blemish, I guess, on the night for Ruud van Nistelrooy, who looks relatively unmoved down there in the touchline in his long black pea coat with his tight jeans on and his what looks like black loafers from our high vantage point here in the commentary position.
I think he'd be pleased with his team, obviously be delighted with the result. At times they were outplayed, but they've showed a character, which is, I think, some things that's been missing, especially in the performance at Brentford. You see the characters in the team, you see a hunger, a desire, a will to win that I'm not necessarily sure has been there all the time with Leicester, performance-wise. As I said, he looked towards Enzo Maresca. He said he wants to tweak and almost play in a similar way to what he did, train the same way, the formation in a very similar way, and bring that style of football back with a similar group of players.
Edson Alvarez running forward from the halfway line, taken off him by Ayew. And Leicester with Samare on the left wing position. Aberdeen just slowing things down and delving into his box of tricks. There was a bit of a firm challenge on him from Antonio, but he's now lost the ball. And Leicester have it again with Ayew, and they're just trying to slow things down now, aren't they, Leicester, to get this game over the line?
Well, listen, the story's Leicester, the story's Ruud van Nistelrooy, but where does this leave Julian Lopetegui?
Oh, well, Bass has lost it. West Ham have got a few bodies forward here. Antonio on the right side of the penalty area. He's played a poor pass for Fulkrug. It needed to be better from Mikel Antonio. It was 2 yards too far ahead of him.
There's a lot of tired players out there. Concentration, mistakes are happening. Game's really, really stretched. A lot of these players looking towards the referee in blue shirts, desperate for that final whistle, and they're almost there.
And this West Ham team heading for 2 defeats in just a few days, and in the process they've conceded 8 goals, West Ham, in those 2 sets of 90 minutes. Final couple of minutes here at King Power. Leicester 3, West Ham 1. West Ham in possession, but they need 2 goals for a point.
Questions will start again for Julian Lopetegui. We all talk about Ruud van Nistelrooy, the impact that he's had, the result. The talk will be about Leicester if it does stay this way. But again, it's West Ham. The performance has been good. It's just lacked cutting edge in the final third. Performance at Newcastle was good. Result against Arsenal awful. Conceded 5 goals. Conceding another 3 here tonight. The pressure is going to mount on Lopetegui once again.
Free kick West Ham United, 10 yards outside the penalty area, left of centre. Final minute of stoppage time. Leicester 3, West Ham 1. So it is still a big mountain for the Hammers to climb. They need something to happen here to have any chance at all. Emerson with the free kick, swinging it in, and the header is wide. It was Fulkrug. The offside flag was up anyway, and that might just be enough for Leicester. And look at Conor Cody, the Leicester defender. He's walking round, he's high-fiving all his fellow Leicester defenders because he feels that is job done for the Foxes.
And the referee's telling the goalkeeper to get on with it. We are over the 9 minutes of added time gone. The TV cameras are circling around Ruud van Nistelrooy. He's going to get his first win as Leicester City manager.
And he has great memories against West Ham because he scored his final Manchester United goal at Old Trafford against the Hammers almost 19 years ago. And this is going to be another special memory for the Dutchman tonight. Cody clears it away for Leicester. Emerson sends it back forward for West Ham United. Justin's ball upfield looking for Mavididi, who leaps and challenges but doesn't get the ball for Leicester. Emerson has it on this near left-hand side. West Ham trying to launch another attack on Leicester's defence, and Somerville wins the throw for West Ham, but really that might be enough now.
Well, you'd surely think that's it now. All eyes on the referee. We're just touching the 100 minutes.
That's the full-time whistle. Ruud van Nistelrooy immediately walks over, shakes the hand of Julian Lopetegui, and the noise of Ruud comes from the King Power Stadium from all 4 corners, because Leicester City, under great pressure, down at the bottom of the Premier League table, began the night just a point above the relegation zone. But this is the way that they wanted the Van Nistelrooy era to begin. He is ensured they're in rude health tonight. Goals from Vardy, El Khanous and Daka. A late consolation from Fulkrug. But it's Leicester, it's Van Nistelrooy, it's their night. It's Leicester 3, West Ham 1.
Dissect it, unpack it, pick all the bones out of that, do whatever you will. These Leicester fans and that manager on the pitch there taking the applause from the King Power Stadium will not care, because that scoreboard says 3-1 to Leicester City. What a result that is for Ruud van Nistelrooy. We're talking about a team who'd only won 2 Premier League games this season prior to tonight. We're talking about a team that looked devoid of confidence, devoid of ideas, so susceptible at the weekend every time Brentford attacked. He's got a performance out of that group of players tonight. You question why that hasn't come before. You question why we haven't seen that type of personality from a Leicester team earlier than that. New manager bounce, new structure, new regime, whatever you call it. There's something there for Ruud van Nistelrooy to work on, and what he's seen tonight will give him great joy. Made big decisions tonight. Left out, Fass out, left the Coley out, his 2 centre-halves that have been playing, brought in Conor Cody, brought in Vestergaard. His in-game substitutions, his in-game management looked good. Good signs ahead for Leicester. For West Ham, Julian Lopetegui, the questions are still going to be answered. I actually think they played okay. West Ham fans may disagree, but I actually think there was the crux of a decent performance there. It certainly wasn't a 3-1 game for me, but there's only one manager tonight that's getting the headlines, and that's Ruud van Nistelrooy.
And his Leicester City team are on to 13 points, 4 clear of the relegation zone and 2 behind the team they have beaten tonight, West Ham United, here at King Power Stadium. There is a lot of noise around these parts of East Midlands, and I think there'll be even more in the days ahead. Van Nistelrooy off and running with 3 points. Leicester 3, West Ham 1.